Hello, everybody. This is Two Legs. This is your midweek Mac break. I am Tom Hunyadi, one of the co-hosts of Two Legs, and this is my usual live spot where I'll go live in the midweek, where Andy usually goes live on the weekends. I'll usually go live, like I said, in the middle of the week. So we've got a very special guest. So we're going to get right to it. We will talk about the new and exciting Wings book that was just announced today. That will probably be coincide with the Man on the Run documentary. I'm not 100% sure on that yet, but we can talk about that later. But
That's
I'm
news
very
to me. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, it just got announced today on
Oh,
his website, so
see?
you can check it out. But I am joined by a friend of the show, someone that maybe you have met at the Fest for Beatles fans. He said he was going since 1982, and I'm very happy to have Mike Nair on the show. Mike, my friend,
Yeah.
how are you?
How are you? It's an honor to be here. I watch you guys almost every week or when I can. You're
Thank you,
always
thank you.
informative, always fun. I do miss my Jersey brother. Andy is a
Yeah,
Jersey guy.
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Be at Brooklyn, I
But
think. But
Yeah, yeah, maybe. Well, it's late enough that maybe he might be able to pop on here in a little bit, so hopefully he does. But we got James here. Great news today. Yes, that the Wings book. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Listening to one hand clapping as we wait for the podcast. One hand clapping is fantastic. Did you get to see one hand clapping in the theater, Mike?
I did. Oh yeah, actually twice.
Yeah. Oh, you did. You went
Yeah,
twice. Yeah.
yeah.
Great. Great. James, how you doing? It's like waiting for an archive release. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. But you know what? We had a little technical issues. We had to make sure we could
It's
hear
all me.
each
It's
other.
all me.
Yeah, no, please. Please. We got Ollie here. We got our friend Uncle Paul's Beatles Pop Playhouse
Oh,
here.
Paul.
How you doing? Good to see you guys. And then we've got Mike. We got Mike here, and we got our good buddy Billy Tone is here. So don't be
All
nothing
the
to be nervous
legends.
about.
All the
Yeah.
podcast legends are popping up.
So, Mike, let's just talk a little bit about first of all your fan of McCartney. Were you a Beatles fan first? Were you a Paul fan first?
Uh,
Talk a little bit about that.
guess I'm would be considered second generation fan, so
Right.
early to mid 70s. So the Beatles and Wings kind of came upon together because Wings was big at the time.
Right.
And yeah, just probably from the age of five, 5 or 6,
Yeah.
just obsessed,
Right.
obsessed.
No,
Like
I
you,
hear that. I hear. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you've got to see Paul live several times, right?
I've seen Paul. Going back to 1989 was the first time, and I think I've
Okay.
seen Paul. I think it's something like, if I count the times I worked with him, it's like 34 times.
Oh wow. And
34
we'll get back and we'll get to that because you have worked with Paul several times,
I have.
and not just this SNL occasion. We're going to talk about those other times as well.
Mhm.
But this SNL show, SNL 50, myself, I've been watching SNL since probably I want to say 86, 87
Okay.
is when I started watching SNL on a regular basis. You said
About
you started to watch SNL right around 79.
9 or 80, like on a regular
Yeah,
basis. And then, yeah, once we got that VCR, it was just taped every week, and we would, we had one blank tape, so like we just would record that every week, and we'd watch it all week. You know,
right.
to the last original season to like the Eddie Murphy years up to like,
Right.
just, and from that point on, yeah, I've just been a I've been a big fan of that show. So it was just a total thrill to be there. I've done I think I've done 4 this season, culminating now with the
Okay.
fifth last couple weeks ago.
Right. So you're essentially a cameraman by trade, right?
I am a freelance multicam broadcast camera operator.
Okay.
For the last 30 34 years, 35 years
Oh
almost.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's about as
Mold.
long as I've been in the chefing world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you, and you're a caterer, right? So you've worked with a lot of these
Well, I
people.
did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I worked a lot of these kind of events where, like an iHeart Radio event,
Mhm.
where breakfast starts at 6. You're up at 4 in the morning, starting to get stuff ready,
Yep.
and you understand that you've got early calls. You
I,
got to be on your spot at a certain time,
mhm.
and you're stuck there for
Yeah.
who
I was
knows
up
how
at,
long.
I was working today. I was up at 2 a.m. I was in New York City by 3:30. So
Wow.
doing a
Yeah,
morning.
it's I did I like to tell the story where I did it was a Miss America or Miss it was one of those pageants in Las Vegas,
Okay.
and there was a 4 a.m. breakfast call, so I had to start work at midnight. Okay. So I started work at midnight, and I delivered breakfast at 4 a.m. And then I delivered lunch at like normal time, noon. Delivered breakfast or delivered dinner at like 5, but that wasn't over yet. Then
Yeah.
we had to do a 12 a.m. breakfast as well after the
For
show.
the night crew.
So
Sure.
yeah, so night crew
Yeah.
for the breaking down and everything. So it was a 24-hour shift that day.
Yep. Let me just
So these
say,
are long days.
shout out to the caterers and the chefs and the craft service people for all of TV and film production, because you are the people that, like, I mean, we are just always going to that table for, and
Right, right,
they constantly bring food out to shows like that, because you don't really
right.
get that many breaks. So,
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't. It's a long day and just a lot of work.
yep,
Especially if it's a big budget show like a Billy Joel show where you're
sure,
just feeding hundreds and hundreds of people. Up to 1,000. We did iHeart Radios in Vegas where we're feeding 500 to 800-900
yep.
people a day. So a lot of work goes into these shows.
So shout out to you, Tom.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. James here, real quick. He says, "Hi, Tom. Hopefully, the Wings book isn't a cock." Well, I'm sure it'll be better than that Wingspan book that came
Sure.
out many many years ago.
That's really just like,
And
right.
right, right. I was Wings Obsessed from '75 when I was 11. Luckily, saw '79 tour. Cool, not knowing that would be the final Wings tour. Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, at that point in time, we didn't know. And let us know if you guys can hear us, okay, please. Because we did have a little issue, but I just want to make sure that everybody can hear us okay out there. But so Mike, you've been a freelance cameraman for over 30 years now.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I've
Go
been
ahead.
in the business for like 34 years. I've been full-time freelance for about the last 15, 16. I had a staff job at MTV for about 16 years with
Okay.
all the like the late 90s, the TRL era, those 10 years of
Okay.
Best Live. I
Right.
did that with, that's why I'm kind of almost deaf in this ear from screaming
What? No.
oh yeah, exactly. From screaming teenagers at boy
Right.
band, rock bands. But yeah, so I've been doing this for a while. And now freelance,
Okay.
kind of, who'll ever take me.
Right. So you did say that you prior to this 50th anniversary show, you did get to work a couple SNL shows prior to this 50th, correct?
Yeah, I did. Let me think. I did the Billie Eilish, Michael Keaton show. I did
Okay.
I did the John Mulaney and Chapel Rowan show, and I did the Paul Mescal and Shabuzi. I did those three,
Okay.
and then now the
Okay.
50th, and yeah, and
Okay,
it's
let's you the 50th show. Okay. You get this gig, okay, and talk about that because I think by this time Paul McCartney has already been um advertised as being a part of the show,
sure.
correct?
Yeah, I mean, I had known that I would be doing this probably since like maybe last November.
Okay.
And then, just I kind of found out when seeing promos and stuff. Like, I mean, I kind of figured because he did the 40th that there'd be some big names there, and we just kept hearing more and more and more. And then yeah.
Right. So being the big Paul fan that you are, is this kind of like, oh my God, I'm going to be
Yeah,
there?
I mean, I guess when I got asked to do it and then confirmed to do it, I figured he's going to be there. But then when I started seeing the promos and his name and
Right.
Paul Simon's name and just all the SNL legends who I figured would be there, yeah, it was exciting.
Right.
It was really
Yeah. Yeah,
You
Paul,
know,
we're going to be talking about his other gigs that he's worked with McCartney as well. Okay. So yeah, so you're hearing McCartney's going to be there. Okay, so let's just talk about when do you actually start working for that particular show?
so that show was live on the Sunday night. We started there. I mean, there was people there as soon as the last live SNL from 2 weeks before that. They were already working. I started the Tuesday
Okay.
before, so I guess
Okay.
what it was Tuesday the 10th, um,
Okay.
Tuesday the 9th. I started. So there were pretty long, intensive rehearsal days from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. Every day I would say the shortest day was 12 hours. The longest day was
Right.
probably 15 to 16.
Right. Now, as you're there as these rehearsal days, you're filming rehearsals, is that right?
I mean, it starts off with like for that, because it was a very, it was very, I think they had 12 sketches and four
Hmm.
performances. So that's the 40th had four sketches and four performances and a lot of tape pieces. So this was
Right.
like regular SNL expanded,
Right.
expanded
Hmm.
2 hours. So every day, the first day you're kind of blocking with the director and with stand-ins. Then the second day you might be blocking with stand-ins and the director as well. Then by the third day you're doing it with some of the cast who are in town, and then I would say by Saturday you're doing it with all the cast members who are there are going to be in these sketches. And then again, some like, oh, this one can't be here for this. So you're doing it with a stand in. And then I would say each day was a different music person we would rehearse, whether it was
Okay.
Miley, Simon, or, Lil Wayne or McCartney. And McCartney's rehearsal
Okay.
was on Saturday.
Okay, so we'll get to that in a few minutes. But so when is the script finalized?
Oh,
Was it already finalized prior to,
it,
or the chain? Talk about chain, because there's times where you're doing these kind of events and things can change on a dime. I mean, you think, someone might not make, appear. You have to make changes.
yep.
Somebody might not be happy with the script or whatnot. So talk a
I,
little bit
I,
about that.
yeah, I will say that for a regular show, I mean, they're making changes up until there's been times where I've done that show where we have a camera meeting in the control room, and we got out of there at like 11:25 and run out to the
Right.
studio, and you have shot sheets, you're crossing out shots like, okay, shot 27's not happening, shot 30's added, 30A, it's constant. So as far as script changes, I mean, that is why they use cue cards, because they are
Right.
constantly changing things, and this was cut and that was cut, and they're putting white tape over the cue card and rewriting it with
Wow.
shout out to Wally and his cue card crew. Another
I think he got a shout out during the
He did.
show.
He did. He gets many shout
Yeah.
outs on the show I
Yeah.
work every day, Seth Meyers, and on the 50th with Adam Sandler. That was a fun moment.
Yeah. Did you see the movie Saturday Night?
I did.
Did it feel like that? Because I love that movie, and it just feels like it's just like a nonstop,
Um,
hour and a
I
half leading up to.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for how it was in 1975, but I would say the only thing
Right.
it capture is like the anxiousness and anxiety that you feel when you're working there for the entire time, because
Right.
it's it is chaotic. But I will say that I think they made that. I enjoyed the movie a lot, and I thought
Right.
some performances were great, but they kind of made it seem like they're a bunch of kids. They didn't know what they're doing, and
Yeah. Right.
working with these people, and especially all the people in charge, they all know exactly what they're doing, you know. But
Right.
it did capture the essence of chaos that goes on. Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Right.
and I enjoyed it. I mean, I did enjoy it.
Cool. Cool. So Monday, things, I'm sure by Monday, the show's on Sunday, but by Monday, I'm sure things are heating up. You said people are starting to come in to rehearse. Who's the first act to rehearse? Do you recall?
Music wise,
Yeah, music wise, yeah.
I think there was one day where we rehearsed because the Roots were the backup band for Miley Cyrus and for Lil Wayne. So I think we did the
Okay.
two of them I think it was Thursday because Friday the Roots did that concert at Radio City. They were the backing
Right.
that, which was an unbelievable.
Okay. One of my favorite parts of the episode, that particular episode, was Adam Sandler's Saturday Night Fifth, song, the
Yeah,
anxiety song. It was just did you get to see him rehearse that?
I did. Yeah, I mean, I can't recall what day it was, but you
Mm.
on a normal SNL, they do a full dress rehearsal at 8 o'clock, and that's
Okay.
2 hours, and there'll be like 4 or 5 sketches that don't even make the show. I would say every sketch that we had planned, it all made the show. Because we
Mm.
were 28 minutes over or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I saw
yeah.
Sandler rehearse it. Because I actually wasn't involved in that sketch, so that was just time to just kind of chill and watch.
Right.
I mean, I think he might have rehearsed it at first on Thursday, and then Saturday, and then again on Sunday. By the time we got to Sunday, we didn't do a full dress rehearsal because we couldn't. There just wasn't enough time. But we did do
Mm.
every sketch cue to cue in order without any music, with all the cast in their costumes. That was by some.
Got you. Paul Simon. When did you get to first see Paul Simon?
Uh, at his sound check and then rehearsal, camera rehearsal, which was, I think that was on Friday. I think that was on
Okay.
Friday.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, he opened the show, obviously, as we all know.
Yeah,
He's got a big history with SNL, so you had to have known that he was going to be part of that. I mean, if he's standing, he's going to be a part of,
exactly. And I thought
you
he was
know.
great.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought he was
yeah.
great. And, bringing, Sabrina Carpenter out with him, made sense. I mean, SNL has
I
all,
love the I love that he gave the shout out to George Harrison.
of course,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
but
yeah. Give 1 second here. Hey, Tom and Tone. I was just watching Tone's latest video when I saw this was live. I can catch the rest. Okay. Well, how you doing? How you doing, my friend? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. And then everybody's saying that they can hear us just fine.
okay.
But it's on this is the book will be set. I suspect. Not sure if we'll learn anything new that wasn't in the lectures. Well, here's the thing, Tone. I'm sure that book will be filled with a lot of quotes that are in the Legacy book. But from my understanding, a lot of pictures that will be in this new Wings book will be never before seen pics. So that will be pretty cool.
Is there a release,
Okay.
Tom?
What's that?
Did they give a release date on that?
Yeah, November. I mean, you can
Oh,
pre-order it now. You
okay.
can you can go on Amazon and pre-order it. The cover is not finalized yet. But someone wants to know. Uncle Paul wants to know what's the blue liquid? Is that the blue liquid from Star Wars that you're drinking, or is it just the
It's just the blue glass with water.
it's just the glass? It's just the glass. Um,
Uncle Paul.
okay, so all right, so rehearsing for most of the week. You're behind the scenes. You get to mingle with anybody like that, or because during these things they don't want you necessarily to mingle with
No.
the celebrities. They generally don't want you to talk with them or ask for autographs or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Oh no, that is all prohibited. And
Right,
that's why this moment with Paul was just really kind of crazy how the whole thing happened. But yeah, no, we don't. I don't. You don't go up and talk to these people. You're walking by them. You see them. They're standing
right,
around the stages at SNL. There was even less space because they brought in like 500 seats in risers, like on
right.
bleachers, to sit all these special guests. So
That's let's talk about that for a second because I mean that whole studio is a relatively small studio, correct?
it's in regards to TV studios, it's pretty large, but in regards
Okay,
to a show with you know 100 different celebrities and 14 sketches, it got pretty small for this anniversary special. I mean, it really did.
okay, okay.
You have to remember
Gotcha.
when this show is going on, similar to like the movie you talked about, there is a show behind the show because
Right,
when it goes to commercial or when it goes to a tape piece at home, the studio goes, dark. They're playing the tape piece and they are moving, running sets in and out down the hallway. Cameras are moving from one side to the other side. And there were times on that special where like they were counting down back from commercial 10, 9, 8, and I got my
right.
camera in place in 4 seconds to go. And I mean, it's, that who did the song about anxiety? It wasn't Sandler. Sandberg's song
Yeah,
about anxiety.
right.
That's why that was so brilliant, because you know
That's right. I remember that now. Yeah, Sandler
yeah,
did. Yeah, yeah. Sandberg did the anxiety thing. Yeah,
yeah. And I mean, it
yeah.
really is like there's a show behind the show every night, because when you're
Right,
there, you just can't believe that like this is gonna get on the air like this, because there's so much happening behind the scenes. So
right.
when you see little missteps, and there, not that there really were any on that show, I thought it was pretty, everything seemed to work out great, but man, there is so
Right.
much happening that you're not seeing at home.
Did, did they ever say why? Because I mean, I never really did any research on that. But was there a particular reason why they went with Sunday and not Saturday for the show?
Well, they've done that for the last, they did an anniversary show for 15, for 20,
Yeah,
for 40, and now for 50. And I think every one of those has been on a Sunday. I mean,
really. Okay,
viewership prime time for a Sunday is always going to far exceed something on a
a
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that's the night people generally go out, I
Yeah.
guess.
And if you,
So
it,
okay,
you had in February, which is February sweeps, you had the Grammys, then you had the Super Bowl, then you had SNL 50, and
right.
like all kind of like each week there's a Sunday night event in the winter months. And but yeah, all of their anniversary specials, I'm almost positive, have always been on a Sunday, and definitely the 40th was, because I worked on that one as well.
Oh, you did work on that one.
I did the red carpet special, and then I was in the
Okay,
hall. I did the red carpet special. We ended that special in the hallway outside the doors, and then I just remained in the hallway as a roaming camera for the 3.5 hours. It was,
okay.
you're standing there, and the stuff you're seeing, you're seeing like the cast of Celebrity Jeopardy like running by you. I mean, it's
Right,
constant. It never ends. It's just
right.
you know
Well, okay, so before we get to Saturday, then, so you said you worked the 40th. Let's talk about tell us about the few of the other events that you worked with McCartney.
with Paul,
Yeah.
well, when I was at MTV, when the concert for New York happened, we did like a prime time TRL, Total Request Live, that Paul McCartney came in to promote the concert for New York. And I would say his segment on that show was maybe 7 minutes long. And he was probably in our studio,
Right.
like in the door and out the door, it probably in a span of like 15 minutes. It was like, boom,
Wow.
in, does the interview, runs out. So that was the first time I worked with him. The second time was the David Lynch benefit for meditation in schools. The Change Begins Within in
Hmm.
2009 at Radio City Music Hall, which just was what a night. I mean, what a
He
day.
performed. Performed constantly, cosmically
Cosmically,
conscious, right?
yeah, for like I think
Yeah.
the only time ever.
Right.
Yeah, and Ringo
Right.
was there, Donovan was there, Eddie Vedder, Mike Love, Howard Stern, Jerry Seinfeld. That was a crazy night too, and a crazy, like, we sound checked in the morning. But the way that was like a benefit concert with like multiple acts, the way they'll rehearse something like that is they'll start with the last act of the night. So at like
Oh,
11 a.m. we rehearsed McCartney's set, then we did Ringo's
okay.
set, then we did whatever the order was. So basically, the last thing you're rehearsing is the first thing that's going to start the show. So the stage is set for the first act. So,
Gotcha.
that was the first time I worked with Paul performing, and Ringo was there as well. Ringo was not there for his sound check, but he did come to do the rehearsal with Paul for With a Little Help from My Friends and Cosmically Conscious. I saw her standing there. And just
Okay.
during sound checks are a time, because it really is, it's work. You're like remembering what shots, when the drum cue happens and you're supposed to get here, you're supposed to.
Right.
But during sound check, you do kind of get a couple moments of. I just remember hearing Paul play the bass line from With a Little Help from My Friends, and just like chills coming through, because I was. I think I sent you one of the pictures. I was
Yeah.
uh, camera left, stage right, on the ground, shooting up at Radio City.
Right.
I mean, just seeing him be in between songs, not telling a story to a concert, like just like he would in a concert, just like, talking to people, like, okay, this looks good. I think we can do this. Like, it was mind blowing. So that was the first like concert I shot. I think that came out on DVD and was on PBS.
Right.
So I did that. And then I got really one of the greatest gigs. I did the Hurricane Sandy benefit, the 12-12-12
Mm,
at the
right.
Garden.
Right.
And that was 2 days. So that was a full day of rehearsals, sound checks, rehearsals with, and again, we started off with McCartney because he ended it. So I think that
Right.
concert, I think it was on a Wednesday. So
Right.
Tuesday we
Right. I
came,
think so.
did Paul, then it went to, I think, Paul, Billy Joel, The Who, and whatever. Then the next day was like the Stones, who weren't there for sound checks, Bruce Springsteen, Roger Waters, Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, something like that. So same thing. It was just, and that was the first time he played with the Nirvana guys, and when he
Yeah.
premiered, cut me some slack, and it was just, and I was for that. I was on stage with Paul. I was actually on
Right.
the stage. I was upstage, kind of like a drum reverse shot. So, like in the Cut Me Some Slack, you can kind of see me pop up in the shadows a couple times behind the drum kit. And yeah, it was wild. It was just completely
Oh, I
wild.
bet.
I'll never
Yeah.
forget the Paul's, because you're dealing with their road crew and all, and they're all really cool. And I remember this guy coming up to me, like, and he's like, "Are you going to be up here?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right." He's like, "Go here, 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 and here. Don't go there." And I'm like, "Okay." There's so much going on. That's where all the pyrotechnics were going to come out for Live and Let Die.
Oh,
So
right.
when you're in an arena or a stadium and he does that, you can kind of feel the heat. Like you can smell the smoke, feel the heat. Try being like 20 feet away. It was like, it was crazy, crazy. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And I think I sent you one of those photos of like the fireworks going
Yeah.
off, and I'm a shadow.
Right.
It looks like I'm in a war zone or something. It was crazy, wild. It was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's phenomenal that you've had those opportunities
Yeah,
uh
it
to
was.
to to, to be
I've
around
been
Paul.
I've been lucky.
Absolutely.
I really have. It's
Yeah.
been, I went with like, hey, if those are the two times, then that's cool. And then the
Right.
SNL 50 thing popped up, and I got
So
blessed again to
my
be around the guy.
yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, absolutely. My favorite actor of all time is Robert De Niro.
He was great that
Did you
night.
get to see him rehearse,
I,
and how did that go?
Debbie Downer was another sketch that it was on the other side of the studio, and I was not in that sketch, so I just got to sit and watch, and the rehearsals were just hilarious for that.
The
Really funny.
Debbie Downer, yeah, especially the one with at Disney World, and what's his name is just cracking up throughout the whole skit. I mean, that's one of the most classic SNL
It,
skits of all time. That Debbie Downer one. Mm.
yeah, so that
So,
was great. De Niro, I thought he
yeah,
was perfect in that. The whole
right,
thing, honestly,
yeah.
I thought they really mixed in the old and the old and new cast, and you know,
Did you get to the one with Jane Curtin? No, I'm sorry, no, the one with Lorraine Newman, where she was walking in.
oh, with Pete
Um,
Davidson.
but Pete Davidson,
Yeah, that
was now that was filmed different separately, right?
that was done earlier in the week, like Monday or Tuesday night. I think Monday night before we started, but no, we didn't.
Okay,
SNL has like a film unit that
right.
shoots films, and they're amazing. But no, I didn't work on that.
Okay, okay. So Saturday now, day before the gig, run through that day.
Okay, so Saturday, that was the day after that concert at Radio City,
Right.
and
And the day
most
after Paul's third Bowery show.
third
Yeah,
gig at the Bowery. So
yeah,
Friday night, I got the schedule for Saturday, and the first thing in the morning was McCartney's band load in. It said, so I'm like, okay, so
right.
that's cool. So like, I think we started at 8, and the band load in was 8. So like, it is pretty cool when you like get off the elevator, and because the same thing, this is not a concert stage. This is a working studio with a long hallway, and that hallway is used to store stuff. I mean, as
Hmm.
celebrities are walking through, they're walking past sets that are being taken out. And when you get off the elevator and then you walk through and you just see all the MPL road cases, I'm like, oh, this is gonna happen. I mean, so I
Right.
walked in the studio and I saw the magic piano, the psychedelic piano, and I'm like, all right. So they set up his stage, And that stage was, once that was set, that was there like from Saturday to when we did the show Sunday. They did sketches in front of those stages, so they let the music
Okay.
stay. So the music was
Right.
never. So they loaded in 8 in the morning, and then we had a full day of like sketch rehearsal. So it
Hmm.
was scheduled for us to, I think we were in 8, and we were supposed to take a meal break at 4:30, and scheduled at 4:30 was Paul McCartney's sound check.
Ah.
So I'm like, okay, 4:30 is the sound check. Well, I'm not going to go to meal. I'm just going to sit here and
Right.
watch. So the way they usually run music for SNL,
Right.
they did during this, was the band will come out, sound check, they'll noodle around, do their stuff. Then they'll do like 2 passes for audio. Then they'll do 2 passes with cameras. So once the band's set and they're fine, then audio does their thing, they're fine, then we do it with cameras. So that day, I tell you, somewhat funny story. Yeah, so you saw the show, obviously. Do you remember the big
Right.
New York musical number that they did?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I love when Mulaney and Colin Jost, who I think writes those with Mulaney, they're my
Right.
favorite things. I did one back in November with the Port Authority Dwayne Reed.
Mulaney is like an unsung hero these
He is,
days. I mean, his episodes
his
are
episode,
fantastic. I
and
mean,
I did his
yeah.
episode back in November, and they
Yeah.
did a musical that night too. So when I saw on the schedule that we're doing this New York musical, and it was very ambitious. I mean, it was on 4 stages with like probably 40 to 50, the 40 cast members and all these extras and dancers. So, they started on the left side, they went to the middle, then they went to the other side, then they go back to the middle, then they come back to the left side. So the rehearsal for that was probably like 3.5 hours. I mean,
Mm.
so many moving parts. And I think we didn't even have all the cast that were going to be in it. But anyway, so that was the last thing we were doing before Paul's sound check. So I was on the left side. Mainly, most of my camera work was on, I think it's 3F, they call that stage, on the floor. So I was in the beginning, I was in the middle, then towards the end, like I'm not involved anymore because it's all ending on another stage. So
Mm.
I think we were pretty on time that day, maybe a few minutes behind. And the next thing up was Paul's sound check when we go to meal. So my camera assistant, utility, um, this guy also named Mike, he taps my shoulder. He's like, "Oh, Paul's here." I'm like, "Oh, what?" And he's like, "Paul's here. Go look up." So I turn around, I look, and Paul's sitting in like 10, 15 rows up, watching
Right.
us rehearse the musical sketch.
Okay.
And now I'm like, "Oh man," I keep looking back, and I'm like, all I wanted to see is if he was laughing, and he was. He was enjoying himself.
Mm.
So we finished that, and then they started taking, they have to take set pieces out and all that stuff. They're doing that. And then Paul starts making his way into the studio. He's walking around. He's talking to Nurse Teresa. He's talking to, who got a shout out from Andy, Adam Sandler as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
Who is Nurse Teresa is a huge Paul McCartney fan.
Oh
Huge.
wow.
And I remember, to backtrack for a second, in 2018, when Egypt Station came out, McCartney did Fallon. He did Come On to
Right.
Me. And I went to the sound check for that. And he did the same thing that he always does. He does he played maybe 4 or 5 songs. He did A Hard Day's Night. He did Coming Up. He jammed. And then he did Come On to Me twice, with audio, then for cameras.
Mm.
But Nurse Teresa was to the left. I just went in because I know I fill in at Fallon occasionally. I know a lot of those people. So when McCartney's on, I just came down, and I sat in the audience. And I turned to my left. He's playing A Hard Day's Night, and Nurse Teresa's dancing. I'm like, oh, this is great. So she actually got to meet him that day too. She talked to him,
Oh wow.
and it
Right.
was really cool. So he's kind of walking around, does his thing, gets up to the stage. He's talking to different Sudeikis and then Lauren. He was talking
Right.
to a while. Then he gets to the stage, and then he just did like maybe a half an hour to 45 minutes.
Oh
Just
wow.
and not even. I think he did Lady Madonna and 1985, and then a
Right.
couple small little jams and stuff. And then he did 2 passes of the Abbey Road medley. And
Okay.
I'm sitting in the audience watching this because we're on a meal still. But right before he started, I'm like, wow, there's really not many people in here. So I moved down. I was sitting all the way in the back. Then I moved down. Next thing you know, it's like those seats, those 500 seats that they added, it's practically all packed. Everybody's in there watching McCartney sound check. And I'm sitting
Right.
Colin Jost is over here, Sudeikis, Jimmy Fallon. They're all there. So he's putting on
Right.
like a show for everybody. And then we're back from meal. We're going to do it for cameras. And, we had to figure out where they were going to put me because I was on a handheld camera. They ended up putting me on where the house band, the
Right.
SNL house band. I was up on their stage shooting through those windows, shooting Abe, the drummer.
Okay, so let me show one of the pictures here then.
Okay.
Let me see if this is what you're talking about here. This is
That the angle. That's where I was. Yeah.
so this is one of the pictures here. Obviously, you see Brian right there. The next picture here, you're going to see you got Abe there, you got Wix in the background.
Yes.
But this is the one. But this is
Somebody
the
sent me
one.
these
This
pictures of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the one with Paul in there. Um, so really cool
Yeah.
shots. Like I'm sure you weren't allowed to, you weren't supposed to take pictures.
I didn't take those pictures. Someone else did and sent
Oh,
them
you
to me.
didn't.
No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay. Okay.
Because I was working.
But
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But that's where you pretty much were then, right? Though,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And then here's the big one too. And then tell us when this picture was taking place.
So, McCartney does a sound check, and that's great and amazing. And now we're getting ready for the next thing that we're going to do, which was another sketch. I don't even remember. So, when Paul's in, like, he's in a studio like this, he was just kind of milling about, hanging out,
Mhm.
um, talking to different people and, hanging out there. So the whole band got off the stage, and I was talking to Abe for a little while because Abe had done our show. He did late night about 7 or 8 years ago. He filled in as a drummer on the show that I know
Okay.
on. So I was
Right.
talking to Abe. He's such a nice guy. I was talking to him, but like everybody's kind of is always looking like, oh, where'd Paul go? So we were done. We're getting ready for the next thing. And I was going out of the studio I was having problems with my headset or something. I was going to replace it. So I have my headset in my right hand and I'm walking to go out the studio doors. And Paul's there talking to two of the guys you see in that picture, Anthony Tarantino and Rick Fox. He's the guy who's right next to Paul on the other
Mhm.
side of Paul.
Okay.
And Rick Fox I owe everything to Rick Fox because Rick Fox is just that. He's got that larger than life personality where like he doesn't care who walks by. He's like, hey, Paul, so he starts talking to Paul. And I mean, I wasn't there yet, but apparently he just starts talking to Paul. Paul stops. He's having a laugh with those two guys. And then I come around and I got my headset in my hand and I'm like, oh my God, like Rick and Anthony are talking to Paul McCartney. So I'm kind of like,
Right.
I didn't want to turn into Chris Farley, but I'm like, wow, this is weird. So to his credit, and I will owe Rick Fox forever because I am under the edict of don't talk to these people,
Right.
like it's just they're there to work, I'm there to work. So I'm walking and I kind of just stopped and Rick goes, "Oh, Paul, this is Mike. This is Mike Nair. He's also a camera operator on the show." So
Right.
Paul shakes my left hand because I had something in my right hand. And
Right.
I'm in my mind, I'm just like, oh, stay cool, be cool, be cool. And he shakes my left hand and like puts his hand on my other shoulder. And he's like, hey, Mike, I'm gonna do a bad Paul impression. He's like, hey, Mike, great to meet you. And Rick goes, oh, Mike's a big fan too. Because Rick is a huge Beatles fan. So is Anthony.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody is. So when I walked up there, they were I think Rick and Paul were talking about Bob Costas, believe it or
Uh,
not, because
yeah, but well, Bob did interview Paul.
they shot that show in the SNL studio back in
Hmm.
like in 91 or whenever it was. So
Right.
Rick
Right.
talked about that. I did this. And he introduces me to Paul, which is mind blowing. And then I was like, oh, Paul, thanks. I really did. I feel like I kept it cool. I was like, hey, Paul, that was great. Thanks for doing this. He said, oh, yeah, man, it's SNL. I'm not going to miss this. He could not have been nicer. So chill and kind. And I think it was just because he knew we were just guys who worked there. It wasn't
Right.
like a fan meet and greet or something. He was like, hey guys,
Right. Right.
this is great. Everybody's gonna be here. He was so nice. So I was like, Paul, I have worked with you before. I did the Change Begins Within, the David Lynch benefit next
Right.
door city. And he's like, oh, David Lynch puts his hand over his heart. He's like, God bless him.
Yeah.
That was such a great night. We just lost him. And he goes, and he's like, you were there? And I was like, yeah, I was right on the ground below you shooting up. Worked the whole night. It was one of the best nights of my life. He's like, oh, that's great. Gives me another pat on the shoulder. And I'm like, this is like insane. Could not have been nicer. Then he starts talking about, I guess, Rick and Anthony, they went to the Olympics in 2012 in London.
Yeah.
They worked on that. Rick and
Yeah.
Anthony, like NBC legends. Like, I mean, Rick is retired, but he came back just for this 50th anniversary show.
Right.
So he's talking to Paul about the Olympics, and Paul's telling the stories. It's like, oh yeah, it was a crazy day. There was a delay, and the BBC wanted me to have like a track in case something went wrong. And there was this whole thing. And Rick's like, well, I thought it was great. And Paul's like, yeah, thanks. You know, we're just chatting. And then as this is happening, you got to remember now, like we're working, but they're setting up the next thing that we're doing.
Right.
So the stage studio managers, this girl, Mel, she comes walking out and she's like, oh, Paul, we got to get you out of here. Come on. We got to, come on, Paul. And he's like, oh,
Right.
come on, man. I'm hanging out with the crew. And he's like, got his arms around us. He's like, I'm hanging out with the crew, and Mel's like, oh, we got to get you a crew hat and a crew jacket.
Right.
Because I think we all had like SNL 50 crew jacket.
Right.
And he's like, oh, yeah,
Right.
man, I want one, man. So as he's getting ready to leave. And again, I never, ever would have done this, but to his credit, Rick, who is a legend, he's like, Paul, can we get a photo? And he turns around into like selfie mode. And Paul's like, all right, cool, sure. And Mel goes, oh, let me take it, guys. It'll come out better. Thank God she did. And she took a couple photos. And that's the photo you just saw. And it was just, and his arms around me in the photo. And then he's like, all right, thanks, guys. Cheers. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great show.
Right.
And he kind of gave me that like half bro hug, He's like, all right, guys, because his arm was around me. And then he kind of gave me like a half hug. He's all right, guys, cheers. I'll see you tomorrow. He walked out.
Right.
And I'm like, and now I have this.
Right. There you go. Yeah, Beatles Toast is well done for staying cool when talking to Paul. It's so easy to dissolve into a bumbling wreck in the presence of greatness.
The only thing that I would have said that I just didn't cross my mind is me and my wife, we actually just booked it yesterday, but we're going to Liverpool and London in the first week of June to see. Like we're going to go to London for 3 days, then we're going to go to Liverpool for 3 days. We're going to see Bruce Springsteen, do all the Beatle tours and all that stuff.
Right.
And I should have said like, Paul, I'm going to Liverpool in June. Where's a good place to eat? But
right.
I just kept it cool.
Fantastic.
Didn't stutter and didn't turn into Chris Farley. And
that's awesome. So okay, so let's go back to the rehearsal then. So he runs through the Golden Slumber medley twice then, right? And I'm sure they probably recorded it as well.
I'm sure, yeah. I think they record everything there.
Yeah. So then, that's 4:30. So you said he did this. He did like an hour or something, like just playing
like
around.
40, 45 minutes. Like he was noodling around.
Okay.
He definitely did Lady Madonna in 1985, and that was when like
Right.
the whole studio was kind of packed with like a little mini Paul concert, and it was
right. So you got your own little mini Bowery show since you didn't get to those, right? And I'm sure he sounded fantastic, or it sounded good. I'm sure he was in good vocal form.
Yeah, watching it in the audience, I was like, it sounded great. And you're even if you're in the last row, you're still like you're only so many feet away from the guy. It's a small, it's a TV studio, but and then once it comes down to like you're shooting, you're working, you're shooting, I'm concentrating on like, all right, the drum breaks now. I got to get here, I got to get there, and then I'll tell you when we did the show. Like one last little thing, so again, these stages are all connected. So you have the music stage, the house band stage, which is also where the monologue is, and then another stage that they also use for music. So I'm up on the house band stage, and now the show's over. So now they're going to bring like as many cast members they are onto the tongue, which is in front of the house band. So I'm up on that stage. Now, as soon as we go to commercial, because it might have been 2 minutes or 90 seconds of commercials, I got to jump off and get out of there. And now, as I'm doing that, all these cast members are trying to get up onto the stage to the tongue to
Right.
wait the night. So I finally get out of there in time, and there's nowhere really for me to go except for like back to those audience risers to try to get some shots. I'm not shooting up at the cast on the stage. I'm shooting into the
Right.
audience, which are all celebrities anyway. So I'm shooting in the front row, and in the front row on my side where I am, it's Nancy and Brandy Carlisle sitting there.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
so you see that shot at the end of the show during the credits, but
Right.
right before they took the shot, Nancy was doing like one of these, like a heart, and she said,
Right.
and I think she said like "I love you, Paul" or something, but you don't see that. They didn't take my camera during that. She was doing the heart thing.
Right.
Then they took my shot. I think that's the only shot I had during credits, and then the show was basically over, and like she kind of like I don't know, like looked down at me because she knew that I got a shot. And I just kind of like said, I just like looked up. I was like, I love him too. And she just like laughed and, like gave me like a
Right.
wink. It was just, the whole thing was surreal.
Yeah. All right. So show day then Sunday.
Well, that was
What's
show day that I just described.
Oh, that was show day. Okay. So the
That was
rehearsal. So because I thought you said he did it Saturday.
Saturday he rehearsed. And I
Right.
told the story of meeting him. That was when the
That's
rehearsal
right.
was over.
That's
And
right.
now it's just giving,
Right.
I mean, really show day is, we rehearsed every sketch in order. We
Right.
didn't have any music. But then the show happened, and it's just like little strange funny tidbits, but like I had to go out into the hallway a couple times because I was, for Paul Simon, I was up in the upper balcony audience shooting like
Okay.
a wide crowd down to Paul, and like Eddie Vedder sitting right in front of me, Jack White, and then as I'm walking out, Paul's in the hallway talking to like the girls from the Lawrence Welk sketch. Yeah,
Right.
they're all in their
Right.
outfits, and I'm like, I just kind of look. I'm like, this is crazy. It's like it's everywhere. Like you can't walk anywhere and not walk into like, you know, this one dressed
Right.
up like Linda Richman, and it's a trip.
It is. Yeah. I would imagine. I would love to experience an SNL show once in my
If
lifetime.
if you came to an SNL show, I would say, because most people say it, you'd have, if you like the show already, that's great. You'd have a new appreciation for the show when you see it happen.
Right.
You know,
How how loud isn't a performance in the SNL studio?
Uh, it doesn't, to me. It didn't seem. I'm also pretty deaf in this right ear, but I have a
Yeah.
headset on and I have in ears in. So like to me, it doesn't. It just seems normal. To be honest with you, it doesn't.
Really?
It's not
Okay.
crazy loud. When the house band is playing, it does get pretty loud. But yeah, I just think it's normal. I mean, it's loud, but it's not crazy loud, in my
Wow.
opinion.
What an amazing week that must have been.
It's
Just
a crazy week. It was.
yeah. Yeah.
I had a good week. You know.
Right. Yes. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, my
When
friend.
it comes to work and when it comes to just being a fan of the Beatles, it was a great week.
Wow. Amazing stuff. Anything else that you can think of that you want
But
to,
really, I think that was it. I hope people enjoyed my silly stories. How many people are live right now?
well, we've got over 30 people
All right,
watching, but we've probably had over 100 people come in and out
love it.
during this 48 minutes or so while we were chatting. So,
Now I have to go look
because
for this
people,
Wings.
what's that?
I have to go look for this Wings book now. I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, get on Amazon or go to his website.
Yeah.
And the press release will be on his website. Check that out. So amazing, Mike. Thank you
Oh,
very much for sharing this experience, this kick-ass story of this experience. Just amazing. I mean, what a lot of us would do. I mean, it's well worth. I'm sure it's well worth the 12 to 16-hour days.
oh,
Um,
by the time it comes to show day, I mean the
right,
days are long, but you're just running on adrenaline and
right,
like anything else, and it's there it's you're not even tired. You're not tired at all. There
right,
are long days. You're in a hotel that's 2 blocks away. You
right.
get the maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep. You're coming back to work.
Yes.
But it's
I remember I remember when I was still living in Arizona. We were working a Metallica show at the where the Arizona Cardinals play. So it's the big football stadium. So we're cooking outside. We're in a tent, and when the tent is right next door to where everybody just goes in to eat. So I remember I walked out of the tent, and as I walked up, the first person I saw outside is Rob Halford, the singer for Judas Priest, the metal god himself,
Metal
and
God.
I about shit myself because I'm a huge fan of Judas Priest. So you don't get you're not supposed technically supposed to talk to them,
No,
but he came up to me and he said, "Hey, what's on the menu tonight?" And and so you still chat, and it's some of these little experiences definitely make the long hours worth it.
absolutely, absolutely. And that was the thing with meeting Paul that Saturday. I mean, you're not supposed to go up and talk to these guys. You're not, and he
Right,
was introduced to me. So, like, what am I going to do? Run away? I was like, he was so
right,
nice, so kind, and he. I've never been in the presence of someone who he really gives you that feeling that he knows how much he means to everybody
right,
in the room. He's like every eye in that studio is on him. Like, oh, where did Paul go? Where did Paul go? And he made those moments like maybe he could sense that me and Rick, we probably were ready to shit our pants. And he
right.
just he put his hand on my shoulder and like, hey, great, great, it's great being here, like thanking me. And it just he really gives this vibe of like, I know that this is a big deal for you, but I'm gonna make you feel better. Meaning like not nervous. And I didn't. It was amazing. He really
Wow.
like the sweetest. He could not have been cooler. He could not have been cooler. And I'll have this picture
Yeah.
forever. You know,
Yeah, I would be getting that sucker framed, my friend, and
yeah, yeah.
get that
It's
sucker on the wall.
it's funny. That Sunday, one of the NBC house photographers who works on our show, he shoots all the behind the scenes for late
Right,
night. He's worked with Paul a lot of times. I think he did like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when Ringo got in. I think he might
right,
have he did the City Field shows in 2009, and he knows I'm a huge fan. So I saw him in the hallway because he was shooting behind the scenes and just in the hallway all night. And he's the one. I think he got those great pictures of like Paul and Mike Myers, all that stuff. So I was like, "Oh, Lloyd, you got to see this." And I opened my email. I opened my phone. I showed him the picture. He's like, "You have to email that to me now." So he ran down like when he had a break and he printed like 10 of these. He's like, he counted. He's like, "All right,
right.
I'll print 5 of them." I was like, "Well, print 6. We got to give one to Paul." Um, but he like brightened it up and he made it nice.
Right.
So I got to frame it. I just, you know,
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah, it's go ahead.
this picture, it's been sitting in our kitchen since the Monday. I got home at about 5 in the morning Monday after that
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
And I had the print already. I mean, I had the print when I got, uh, Sunday afternoon, he gave it to me. And I just put it in like a plastic sleeve and I put it up on the kitchen shelf. And it's been there basically since. And we eat dinner. And I look up and I'm just telling my wife, I'm like, I still can't believe this happened. I can't believe this happened.
Talk about the show ends and you guys are off the stage or whatever, you're saying goodbyes and all that stuff. Just talk about that high that it's over now. And like you said, you didn't get home till like 5:30 in the morning. I mean, but so what I mean you hitting the after party, I mean you
I did.
mingling with everybody.
I didn't go to any parties. I hung out there for they were using our studio for overflow audience, and our studio, the Seth Meyers studio, is right next door to SNL. They're kind of almost
Right,
even connected. So they were using that studio as they had big video monitor walls. So people who, there's not that much room in the studio. So there were overflow of like family and stuff. We're sitting in there watching it, and there was a full bar. So I went in there and I just hung out with a couple people for a little while, had a couple,
right.
and then just hung out for a while and got to my car, and by the time I got home, it was probably about 5 a.m.
Wow.
But yeah, I didn't go to any parties afterwards. No, I just
Right.
I was on my party was Saturday when we met this guy. You
Right.
know, I, you know,
Well, Billy Tone says it. I mean, he knows what it means to people,
he
Paul,
really
meaning of Paul.
I really I really think he does. And
Right,
again, it wasn't like a fan event, or it wasn't this. He like just knew that like I'm in this studio. These guys are working all day and they're fans, and like he could not have been nicer. Like if I'm a huge fan, and I'm a bigger fan even now, if that's even possible, because I've been a Paul McCartney fan, Beatle fan since like
right.
1974.
Wow, Mike. Well, you're gonna be at the fest, right?
I am.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm doing SNL this weekend, but that's
Okay.
probably my last one for the year. Like I said, I'm
Okay.
still in. But I'm doing it
Who's
this weekend.
hosting this week? Who's
I think
hosting
it's
this week?
Shane McGillis or Shane Gillis. He hosted like
Yeah.
I think comedian.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Tate McRae is the musical guest, who I
Okay.
is a pop star. I'm not sure. Um,
Gotcha.
but you know, it's I'm
Cool.
sure it'll be like another. Everyone has been a different adventure. Like, and again, this is
Right.
like show 5 for me. And
Right.
the first well, the first show I did was Billie Eilish, Michael Keaton, and that was kind of like an observed day. But my first real show was the John Mulaney show, when
Right.
Kamala Harris was there, and then my next show was Church Chat with Dana Carvey. That was like, it was just it was one,
Yeah, I loved how Dana had been appearing on the shows leading up to the 50th.
and
He
he
was
was there on the 50th. He had the flu.
right. Oh, he did? Well,
Yeah,
that's too bad.
that's what I had heard. But I mean,
Yeah,
he's been there all through this season, so they're really
right.
bringing a lot of people, and it's just been really cool. You know.
Well, I hope it continues now that the 50th is special is over with. I hope that continues because it's still the 50th anniversary. I
Yeah,
still
I
hope they
mean,
continue bringing older cast members on.
it's. I think it's been a great season, and I mean, the real 50th anniversary is in October, so you know,
Right, right.
keep it going.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, keep it going.
it's a community of legends out of that place, and when you walk those hallways, I mean, it really. It's. I tried to explain this to my wife the other day, but when you work on that show and you walk in, you really do feel like it's 1975, because they do it the same exact way they did it 50 years ago.
Mm,
Cue cards, shot sheets, like
right,
it's like a throwback in time. And when you tell people like, well, why don't they use a teleprompter? When you're there and you're working on it, you get it. You're like, they can't.
right.
It's just too much. There's like, they need them looking this way, they need them looking that way, they need to change it in a second, like on the floor. And it's just it's a total throwback, and it's just it's a cool place to be. I've been lucky
Yeah.
this year.
Wow. Well, Mike, congratulations, for this. Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the end of March.
Yeah,
We
well,
can talk more there, have a beer together or something, and
absolutely. I'll be buying you a
yeah.
drink, the Two Legs guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, I mean, we're gonna talk about other things. So, I mean, you're welcome to stick around if you want to, or
You
you
know
can
what?
just hit the leave studio at the
Yeah,
bottom.
I'm gonna drop out because I'm gonna go get the mail and take care of some things. But thanks for having me on, and yeah, man,
Yeah.
good
Thanks for this
stuff.
exclusive. Thank you, buddy.
Exclusive. I love it. All right, man.
Yes.
I'll see you soon. I'll
All
see you
right.
at the end of March.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Cheers.
See ya. Bye. Wow. Incredible. Incredible stories from Mike, working that SNL event, and it's you can't top that. I was going to talk a little bit about seeing Ringo at the Grand Ole Opry, but you just can't top that. Seeing that close to McCartney, and just what a treat that must have been. I'm gonna grab the poster real quick from seeing Ringo. So give me a second. So yeah, so seeing Ringo. This was the poster. I know it looks backwards, looking at it now, but this was just it was just a crazy event. I mean, it was great just to see him perform. Yeah, he only performed 3 songs, but that didn't matter to me. It was just great just to see him perform one more time. Again, he's going to be 85, and who knows how much longer we're going to have him to see. And I know he's going to be touring again later this year. My friend Groovy Lisa, hello, hello, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I dig it too. I dig it too. It's I was at first with the new country album. I was a little disappointed because I wanted more an old school country because I think I forgot who it was did say it was going to be more of an old school country, but it ended up being like a little bit more modern sounding. And after I got past my disappointment of that, then I was I'm mostly happy with the Look Up album, and it's definitely fantastic. I think it is one of his best albums. This of the last 24 years of this century. So good on you, Ringo. So that was just a great time. I drove down to Nashville, um, and hanging out with my friend, Andy and MVP and Joan. Skylar was there, so I got to hang out with her for a minute, and just seeing, all those acts. Before Molly Tuttle performed a few songs before Ringo did, so she was phenomenal. I want to check out more of her stuff. So yeah, it was just a great time, great experience going to this Grand Ole Opry. Just wish I had more time because I know Andy and MVP they toured the Ryman, which was the original Grand Ole Opry, and just a cool time. So the book, I guess the news of the day. This new book about wings, and it looks fantastic. I did pre-order it on Amazon, and yeah, hopefully it's a lot better than the Wingspan book. I mean, the Wingspan book is nice, but hopefully it's more in the style of the excuse me, of the Beatles anthology book. So, what are your thoughts about the book? If people are still out there listening, what are your hopes for the book? So this is now 2 official releases that we're getting from McCartney. We got the Venus and Mars Has to Be Master coming next month, and now we've got this Wingspan book coming. This McCartney and Wings book coming in November. Hopefully we're going to get the new album at some point this year as well. So hopefully he's making out some time for that. So what do you guys want to talk about? I'll stick around for a little longer to see if anybody else has anything else they want to talk about. Hmm. Yeah. Yep. I'm looking forward to it too, my friend. And I saw you just release your third video in your McCartney series. I'm gonna check that out and look forward to seeing your pics uh, in that video. So check out Beatley Tone's latest video and subscribe if you haven't already. Because if you're not, why aren't you? Get over there and subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed to Two Legs, please subscribe to Two Legs. Let's see here. Do you think the book announcement increases the chances of London Town Archive collection this year? Um, no, I don't. I don't. Again, I want to be wrong. Okay, I want to be wrong, but I don't necessarily think it increases the chances of a London Town. I think they're going to wait until the 50th anniversary and release it as a half-speed master, Brooks. That's just my thoughts. Now, I could be wrong, and like I said, I want to be wrong about this, but I do think that he wants to release London Town and Back to the Egg together. At least that was the plan. Okay. And then that way he could do a big box set like he did with the Wildlife and Red Rose Speedway um, box. He can combine the two and then put something special in just for that big box, you know. So, but I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. I really don't. But I wish the archive series would continue, but I don't think they're going to. We shall see. We shall see. We'll see what the year brings. I'm really looking forward to this documentary. I've heard really good things about it. And hopefully we can talk to the director or people behind the scenes from that documentary. Yeah, well, we'll see. Again, you know, just because I might not be, might be a little negative about it, the possibility of a release, you know, you keep the hope, you know, keep the hope alive. Let's see, Billy Tone says, I do. I think Paul is starting to remember that the other band he was in was quite good. I hope that's the case. I really hope that's the case, Tone. I really hope that's the case. Let's see here. Wings was the best band for 8 years. Okay, that's a good darn good statement right there. You know, I saw some other bands might disagree. Um, so we'll see. Led Zeppelin was a darn good band during that period too. But you know, there were others, but Wings were fantastic. Wings were awesome. John, how are you? The archive series will continue, Tom. Have no worries. Looking forward to the new Wings book. John, I hope you're right. I hope you are right, my friend. Let's all hope so. Okay? Let's all hope so. What else is going on? What else is going on? Really looking forward. So the Wings Half Speed Master of Venus and Mars is less than a month away now. Um Looking forward to that release. Wings are seen as one of the great bands, unfortunately. Um I don't know. I think well, I mean, you're talking about critically wise, in a historical sense. Um, have you finished McCartney Your Legacy Volume 2? What was your favorite era to read? Yes, I have. I have. And we talked to Adrian and we had Alan Kozin and Adrian Sinclair on a month ago or so. And we talked about this beauty. Yeah. What was my favorite? I really love the London Town recording sessions. All the little minutia bit about the contracts and you know and stuff like that. You know how the all the you know the things that they did to other studio or other companies to make Paul think that he signs. Okay, well maybe if Warner Brothers gives McGear a deal, maybe he'll sign with Warner. Paul will sign with Warner Brothers, or maybe if they give you know if Epic signs Susie and the Red Stripes, maybe Paul might sign with Epic. You know, so things like that, the little things like that, and to reading about behind the scenes of the contracts and stuff like that were really interesting, really interesting. And you know what the companies gave him, they gave him a little bit more percentage of royalties, and then and looking back on it now, we know you know that he would get sued later from the other three, right? So let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Led Zeppelin were okay, but Kashmir is no more smooth. I like that. I like that. Linda being there was seen. Yeah. We all know that, but she got better. But she got better. Let's see here. Still predict London Town back today because they're the very least we'll get the archive. I hope so, Joe. I hope so. If you have time, if you want to come up for a few little bit, Joe, let me know. I'll send you a link. Um, Linda made Wings as great as was with her harmony. Yeah. I mean, she was a part of the Wings sound, which made it that much better, in my opinion. Clearly, Wings were mocked, mostly, especially compared to Bowie. Yeah, okay. Billy Tone, if you want to come up too, let me know. I'll send you a link as well. Come on, James, Linda Harmony vocals were so integral to the Wing sound. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, give me a second there, Joe. I'll send you a linky do. For crying out loud. Uh, hold on. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on one second. Joe, can you Joe, message me your yeah, message me your email, Joe, and Facebook Messenger real quick, and I'll send you the link. Linda's harmonies have gained recognition over time. I think so. Hey, Wink. Hi, Tom. If you paint a back a wall different colors, you can call the new space the cavern. Yeah, yeah. I like that idea. Okay, sure. Okay, I'll get you guys a link too. I think the UK were harsher on the yeah. No, the UK were definitely harsh on um on uh on Paul. Yeah, just reading the legacy book, you can tell how harsh they were. So just give me a minute, guys. Uh, give me a minute. All right, sent Joe. Joe, I sent you. I emailed you the link, and then Billy Tone, send me your email, and I'll send you the link there, please. Or send that in that messenger or something, and I'll email it to you. So we're waiting for Joe here to pop in. Oh, there he is, Mr. Mayo.
Yeah, hello, Tom.
Hey, how are you, buddy?
All right, I'm sorry I missed the first, I think, half hour of your show. I
Oh,
thought it was 3
yeah.
o'clock. It started early, no?
Well, yeah, it was originally three, but then I changed it to two, because Mike gets up really early in the morning. So when he told me he got home a little earlier, I said, okay, well let's change it to two, and because I mean, listen, 1 o'clock in the morning comes really quick. I'm gonna send a link to Beatly Tone here real quick,
No, great.
and he'll pop up, and uh, we'll have ourselves a gay old time, as the song says.
Maybe you two.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Happy, Joe. Happy.
Just playing, just playing.
Yeah, I know.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Anyways, okay, Tone. I sent you the link as well. So, but yeah, amazing story. I mean, to just be there in the presence, getting to witness, the rehearsals and then the actual performance itself.
yeah.
You know, um, one thing about that, I'll tell you, afterwards, Joe. Because there's
And
one
what a
thing you
great,
want
great
specific.
photograph too.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna. I would treasure that photo for the rest of my life, But, um, you've got a photo of him and you got it autographed, right, Joe? You got his autograph on a photo,
Well, both of them. I don't want to be picky,
right?
but he doesn't even
Yeah,
know I'm there in the photo that I happen to be like leaning into.
right.
The
That's
first
right.
one,
Yeah,
but I get the photo, and the autograph
yeah.
is John Hamill, his at the time his assistant, who came out to everybody and took our stuff into the freezing. Well, it was freezing outside into the warm hotel,
Right,
and he signed from
right.
inside the hotel the autograph. But I did get one.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Listen, now that you two are here, can you talk
Oh,
amongst yourselves for a second? Because I got to make a phone
cool.
call real quick. So I will be.
Yeah, that's why. Hey, Tone, that's the only reason he's got us up here. Just
I know. I know. So what we do? We cut into the commercials.
oh well, we have to entertain. We got to entertain everybody.
How are you, Joe?
Okay, yourself.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
All
Pretty
right.
pretty good now. Saw your video on the the responses to the
Yeah,
SNL stuff.
I don't know if that's the best topic here. I don't know, but you know, yeah, I had a lot of comments. A lot of people made different comments. I wanted to just address some of the ones that I kept hearing more repeatedly. Because there's so many people giving their opinions, and rightly so. But there were so many that were stuck in my head that were common. Those are the ones I addressed, the more common ones I'd heard.
Right. Yeah. I just watched that video this morning. I wasn't gonna watch at first, because I knew what the video was gonna be, kind of in a way. But no. I mean, I had no problem with the video. I mean, I saw those comments that you talked about. Yeah. I mean, those were like the 10 most things that people said. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's all. No big deal.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So Tone, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I wasn't so good last week, but I'm good now.
You
So
okay? I'm happy to hear that.
yeah,
I'm happy to hear that.
yeah, I had a few days
It
in hospital.
it wasn't the wife's meatloaf or anything like that, was it? Or
No, no, that might have been easier to deal with, but
Oh, you're kidding? I don't think meatloaf should glow in the dark, huh?
but yeah, no, I'm good. What a great guest Mike was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was
That was
fantastic. Yeah,
It was really,
yeah.
it was really
He
interesting. I was getting quite emotional actually listening to him
right.
talk about talking to Paul and stuff. It was great. That was great.
And that's so right that Paul does do that. I always notice that about him. Right? He makes people feel comfortable. He knows.
He
He
does.
knows how they're feeling
Yeah.
probably towards him, and he tries to put them at ease.
Yeah, I mean, I said in the comments, but Tom didn't pull it up. But when I met the first time that I met him, it was like a book signing. He was doing the High in the Clouds book that he did, the kiddies book that he wrote, that 2005, and I managed to get in to the signing for that. And we kind of in the queue, and Paul's at a desk, and the woman who was directly in front of me went up to Paul's desk. And literally before he just held his hand out, and she just burst into tears right in front of him. I think
Wow.
She was a bit older than me. I'm guessing
Sure.
she was like a first generation fan. And he just puts his hand into his actual Paul McCartney trouser pocket and pulls out his actual Paul McCartney hanky, and he just gives it to her, and he just said, it's okay, it's okay. And you kind of wonder, how he understands this kind of fandom thing, but he does. And when I sort of walked away from it, I kind of thought, because that was probably like how they were when they met Elvis in 1965.
Right.
They were probably just like that, totally in awe of Elvis, because he was their hero. And
Right.
so he kind of understands. He's a nice bloke, and he really does know what he means to people.
Right. Yeah, so Mike messaged us. I think it was like the Monday or Tuesday leading up to the show and said, "Hey, I'm working this show, and I'll give you the scoops as they happen."
Mm.
And I was like, "Yeah, we'll definitely, try to get you on so you can, whatever stories you might have, let's try to work out a days because like I said, he's got to get up at like a 1. He's got like 4 a.m. call-ins where he's got to be ready to work at that point in time. And
Mm.
yeah, those are early days, early days. So,
Yeah.
I gotta watch a new video. Their Beatley Tone. This was part 3 of a series, right?
It was, yeah, it was. I thought for about 5 minutes that I would manage to do an entire top 20 in one episode and still come in under half an hour. Not a
Right.
chance.
No,
Not a chance.
no.
I just got. I'm just too much of that, and
Right.
so I've held over the top 10 to the next one. But it's fun to do. But doing this, it really does make you go back and listen to these songs properly.
Right.
And I've from doing this, I've kind of realised that I enjoy New and Egypt Station much more than I thought I did, and maybe McCartney 3 a little bit less than I thought I did. I still agree with Joe though. I still think it's the best of the 3.
Well,
Wow.
that was up until last night. After I made the video, I was listening to it on the ride where I was. And
This
I'm like,
guy.
I mean, I always say I love McCartney 3, which I
Yeah.
do. I really like it. But the last couple of listens, not as much as I did in the beginning, but I still like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the other 2 have got like classic songs on them. I think the McCartney 3 lacks a classic song, but it kind of hangs together better as an album, I think.
Yeah, that's how I feel as a whole.
Yeah. Find My Way, I think, is probably the closest to a classic song on McCartney 3 that there is.
I would agree, but although I do love Women and Wives, which he plays in soundcheck. He usually was doing it in soundchecks for a while. I don't know if he's still doing it.
Right. He did Women and Wives for like the first 4 or 5 shows of that tour in 22. And then he just, relegated it to sound checks for whatever reason. Maybe too many people getting up to go to the bathroom, I guess, or getting beer.
It's interesting when we're talking about McCartney 3 and which one is your favorite of the 3. I played the first McCartney album a week ago. My girlfriend and I were in the car, and I hadn't heard that in a while. And I said, well, what did you think? And she just said, don't blame me, She said the instrumentals were awful. I'm like, well, I could understand her thinking that, but, I like them.
Right.
But, that's got, it's got Maybe I'm Amazed. It's got Every Night. It's got Junk and stuff. And all the vocals I love on there and the instrumentals too. But I think what you're saying, I kind of agree in some way at this point that I think for some reason 3 comes together as an album more somehow.
Yeah, I've always even thought of that about Sgt. Pepper because the whole of Pepper is just amazing. But if you take sort of individual tracks apart from maybe something like Day in the Life, which is obviously outstanding, but something like Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, when you take that out of the concept of Sgt. Pepper and maybe just having a playlist and it's coming up next to Can't Buy Me Love or Dear Prudence or something like that, it kind of loses a bit of its impact, I think. But when you hear it within Sgt. Pepper, fantastic.
Right.
I agree perfectly.
Yeah. Good.
It's one of those things where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Right.
And I had made a comment on my video that because the last track on McCartney 3, When Winter Comes, because that's an older song and his voice was different, I said that was probably my least favorite. But now that I played it again, no, I'm going to give the least favorite to Deep Down.
Okay.
For me.
Right. Yeah, no, I think everybody is universally accepts that as deep down as maybe their least favorite track on that album. So I don't think you're the only one on that thinking, Joe. Um, but at first it was Deep Deep Feeling, was the
Right.
hardest one for people to get into, and then once they
Yeah.
got into it, then everybody was praising that song.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of a little bit of a challenge to really, to accept as a track, from McCartney. But I think it's great.
Yeah, I appreciate it now. The first time, not really.
Right.
I'm just reading
So
the comments. Is James saying I'm just another guy? Because I said about Linda's vocals. I'm not sure.
oh, I don't know. Yeah,
Maybe some
Oh,
other.
just another day.
yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's just another day.
Okay.
So the new book, the new McCartney Wings book announced today.
Mm.
Did you have time to read about that, Tone and Joe?
I
Yeah,
didn't really.
Yeah.
yeah. I did. It was a little bit confusing. The title a band on the once you realise it's a band on the run and not just band on the
Right.
run.
No, it's Band on the Run, right?
I'm thinking, I could probably do without another book about band on the run, but this is going to cover the whole of Wings,
Right.
and obviously taken from stuff that he says. I think it's going to be a little bit sanitized. I expect, and I'm not sure whether we'll learn stuff that wasn't,
Right.
learn anything new that wasn't in McCartney legacies. But I'm
Right.
looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. It's something to look forward to towards the end of the year, in the absence of the Rubber Soul box set.
Yeah. And I'm still debating whether to do a video on it. That always happens, right, Tone? It's like there's a new news item, something new. But I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if I would, I usually make a video, but I don't know if I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm probably not. But maybe wait till because they haven't even got the jacket cover yet.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a book is different than than new music. Or a tour, I don't know if people consider it as big a news as say a new album or tour, right?
Not on my channel, definitely.
Right.
Books don't get the same amount of traction as music's. Talking about the music.
Right.
Don't know if you find the same, Joe.
Yeah, I would say the same. I mean, I still would do it maybe anyway sometimes, depending on what it was. But in this case, I don't think I will. I mean, I didn't make special ones for like the Elliot Mintz book or something like that. I didn't make any video.
Yeah. I still need to read that book.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we had a great time in Nashville. Last weekend, and like I said, I showed the poster. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool poster.
Very nice poster. Very nice poster.
Yeah.
You can send that my way. Send it my way.
Yeah, I'll send it your way, of course, Joe. Yes. Yeah,
I wasn't there.
Sure. Well, I mean, I had Andy buy me the Bowery show poster.
That's right.
That is a really cool poster, the Bowery one.
Yes.
I really like that one. It's really good.
Right.
And you can probably get those, right? If you want them, find them.
Probably get copies.
Yeah, I would love a Wings photo album book, as this book will likely be weaker than I don't know if it'll be weaker than the Legacy book. I mean, apparently we're getting like over 100 black and white color photos, and then a lot of them have never been seen before. So in that regards, that'll be cool. I mean, look, I'm sure a lot of the quotes that are going to be in the book are the same quotes that we had in the McCartney Legacy, volumes 1 and volume 2. As well. So yeah, I mean, it's going to rehash some of the same quotes that we've seen over the years. Yeah, absolutely. I guess it's just depends on how. I mean, I'm not going to say how big of a fan you are. I'm not going to say if you're a real fan. If you're a real fan, you're going to buy this book.
You nipped that in the bud the other day. I was like,
yeah. So, but I'm sure it's going to be a well organized, well put together, well book. Charlie, it's good to see you and Joe together. Tom. Well, yeah.
We haven't gone
Joe and I,
anywhere.
we haven't gone anywhere.
We're
I
still
mean, I
doing-
just said that I was going to slow down on how much I do. I'm still going to be a part of Joe's movie chats, just on a um, lesser amount of time. I mean, instead of doing 4 shows a month, maybe I might do 2. And that's the thing. I mean, I don't know if you thought about doing one tomorrow night, Joe.
Yes.
Okay,
Have
well,
you?
maybe
Have
I'll try
you?
to.
Let me know.
Well, I mean,
And we might even be able
not
to
for the
do
one.
a different time even tomorrow, maybe, because I don't have to be gone. I don't have to be off, anywhere at 7
Right,
p.m.
right. And Tony says, "Hey, uh,
Hey,
Tony
Tony.
DeMeo,
Hey, Tony.
who we got to meet in Chicago last year. So Joe, you're going to the fest, right? And
Yeah, if everything, I'm like, yeah, don't get
right,
sick. Nothing happened. Yeah.
right. Wink, don't be mad if I don't highlight that comment that you just made, Wink, because you know,
That's Wink for you,
you
hey,
know,
Wink.
yeah.
Rich.
Yeah. But I hope you're doing well, buddy. Thanks for being here. So how's this year shaping out for the releases so far? I mean, obviously we haven't had really no official releases yet. We got the Venus and Mars Has to Be Master coming out. Now we got this book. We got the 1-to-1 EP coming, so which hopefully we're going to get a bigger release for that at some point this year. You think, you guys?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does seem to look as if it's kind of following the same format as the Mind Games, with the EP coming out for Record
Right.
Store Day, and then the box set later in the year. I'm not saying we're going to get a box set for 1-to-1, but maybe we get a double album, maybe of both performances or something like that, or something a bit, fuller.
Right.
Sounds
I think
like they've remixed it anyway. So
yeah.
Right.
Hey,
Mr. Sticky
Mania,
Manias, I will be at the fest with Mikey Arugula.
yeah, I might get a ride home from Mikey Arugula.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know, but Tom, you may have noticed, and did you notice that I had seller's remorse on some of my?
I
yeah,
like the yes, yeah.
I admit it. I
Yep.
admit it.
You did. You did.
So
I love
There's
that
been
video.
a few.
I love that video, and I
Yeah.
love the fact that you came out and said, "Well, look, I made a mistake. I'm going out and getting them again."
Well, you have to do the video that way. You have to just come out in front and say, "Look, my bad."
I didn't want to come right out and say, "Well, you guys paid for it."
Yeah.
You guys paid for them. I didn't want to say it that
Right.
way, but it's like, so I think you're at. Why not?
Right.
Yeah.
In a way, but no,
Right.
seriously. Yeah, I don't know. I just started feeling like, no, I want those. And then today I was at my record store and they had Billy Joel albums that were all colored vinyl, and I'm like, oh, stop! I can't stop.
But
Started getting
Yeah.
a colored vinyl craze now again.
Those colored
Right.
vinyls are so nice. I wish they'd continue the series and do some of the others. A nice Red Rose Speedway in red and Wildlife in green and all this.
Yeah.
I told Joe that, I mean, that blue on Wings Greatest is a beautiful blue.
Yeah.
Beauty,
I don't like the tug of war blue as much. I don't know why.
Both. I like them both. The only one that I didn't get was the Thrillington one. I didn't get Thrillington.
Oh, that's
the brown.
beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
It's a nice looking one, though, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. It is a nice looking disc for sure. Question from Charlie: what do you guys actually think of the 1-to-1 concert as a whole? Do you think it's a good show, Joe?
Well, I'll say that unfortunately I do think it was a weak show. I'm being honest. Is the honesty, right? But don't you love John? Well, I do, but I didn't think it was that good. I'm glad we have it, but it's not really so much John to me as the band, really, more than anything. But I'm hoping that whatever this remaster is going to be, and they use a different performance, I think even performance, and maybe work on it a little bit. They could make it a little more lively or something, So
Gotcha. Tone?
wait till we hear the new one. But yeah, I was disappointed. Well, disappointed. I didn't see it. I didn't see it in '72. I mean, in '86 when it came out, I think, I was like, it's a little. The band's a little weekend. Yeah. I love Elephant's Memory on the record. I like the way they sound on the album of Sometime in New York City. But I don't know. I wasn't too wild about that.
Yeah, no, it's not a great performance, but it's an important one. And the sound isn't great. So hopefully, if Paul Hicks has done a remix of it, you can pretty much guarantee that it's going to be much improved. But it's the historical value of this concert. It's the only sort of full concert that John did, as a solo artist, and it's his, apart from the odd appearance, Elton John, the Grammy thing that he did in '75, was it? It's his last proper performance. So yeah, we know that there are mistakes on it. I think John even says himself, "Welcome to the rehearsal," doesn't he? At some point in between the song. Right. I mean, when we got that in '86, we'd never had anything like that before, had we? We'd only had the proper albums, and we'd had this sort of promise from Yoko, and she came good on the promise. We got that, and we got the Men Love Avenue album the same year. So it was an exciting time. So I'm really interested to see how much they can clean this up.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think Sean understands that it is his dad's really only, real concert footage. And I'm sure he's going to treat it with love and care that he's been treating the other ones, just as long as he doesn't remove the horns from from the show.
Yeah, I don't like that, but that's me. Some people don't care, but I do.
Right. They'll have a job on their hands if they're going to remove all the saxophone from that album. That's from that performance. Stan Bronstein is very integral to that performance, isn't he?
Right. And to Mr. Stickermania, to this comment, I'll say, well, he didn't get a chance. That was a one-off show. Unfortunately, he didn't get a chance to give us a tour proper. That show, that one-to-one's not as good as Rock Show, but if you read the McCartney Legacy, they did a lot of work behind the scenes to improve the audio on the Wings Over America, and they did a lot of work to improve the audio on Rock Show. So if you were to hear probably those recorded audios from those shows, I'm sure there's not every one was perfect. So I'm pretty much on almost every live album they do some kind of work in the studio to help improve it. Don't you think, Tone?
Absolutely. I think pretty much every live album has got some sort of sweetening.
Right, studio.
I mean, one of the greatest live albums, in my opinion, is Live and Dangerous.
Kiss Alive, right?
No,
Kiss Alive, right?
not Kiss Alive, but Live and Dangerous by Thin Lizzy, which was by Tony Visconti. And you speak to Tony Visconti, and he said they did tons and tons of drums and guitar overdubs. And you speak to anyone from Thin Lizzy, the ones that are still alive, and they'll say, "No, we didn't do a thing. We didn't do a thing. It's as it was." But for me, sort of playing live in a band. When you play live music, you make mistakes. It happens all the time. Every week, no matter how well you know the songs, you do make mistakes here and there, and obviously, on the night, it doesn't really matter because the audience are immersed, and it never goes any from at my level, it never goes any further than that night in the pub. But if it's going out on a record, then you don't want your mistakes going out on record, so they sweeten it up.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. Wink says, have you any of you guys heard the remix Badfinger for first album? It sounds awesome. Lay Me Down even sounds great on YouTube video. Worth looking into. I when it comes to Badfinger, just give me the hits. To be honest with you, I don't have any of their albums. I have I don't have any other. I have their greatest hits on CD.
That's what I have.
And for some reason, it just though that greatest hits package just hasn't made me interested in checking out more of their stuff, and I should want to, but I just don't have any interest in their other albums. I mean, Tone, do you have any of the Badfinger albums?
I've got Straight Up. That's the only one that I've got because it's the one with No Matter What on it, and Without You,
Right.
which are great. But I'm not one. I mean, a lot of people buy Badfinger albums because they were on Apple, and people collect, stuff that were on, Mary
Right.
Hopkins.
Yeah, I never get into that.
No, nor me.
Yeah.
If it's not,
Yeah.
I mean, I know somebody, my friend Elliot out there. Hi, Elliot. Elliot, if you're watching, always says, "Hey, look what's coming out on Dark Horse. There's another thing coming out on the Dark Horse label." I don't really, doesn't interest me just because it's George's label,
No.
Right. Yeah.
I do want to say, I see that we got a 1-to-1 coming up. And when
Yeah.
you do, I'm gonna follow that up with something.
Yeah, so Carol Ann, how you doing, Carol Ann? Thanks for being here. I've seen 1-to-1, John and Yoko, and the concert audio is breathtaking. I can't wait for people to see it. The film is
Oh.
wonderful. So are you saying that you've seen a new version of it, or are you talking about the one that came out in the 80s?
I think he's talking about the new one, right? I mean, I know it's supposed to be officially coming out. I think the date is April 11th. I think.
Okay.
But it did go to a couple of the film festivals.
Film festival, okay.
In Vienna, it was shown in Vienna. I know that. I'm not sure where else, but I expect there's a few places in the States it's been shown. It's just not got an official release yet. So maybe she's saying, she can confirm what she means.
Well, something related to this before I forget. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I think. They have in New Jersey. They have a convention called Chiller, which was originally just for horror and science fiction stars, but over time it became everything. Anybody who's famous, television, non-horror, you don't have to have anything to do with horror. It's just a who's who of celebrities. One of these celebrities they're going to have there is Geraldo Rivera, and Geraldo Rivera. I mean, I followed him over his career, but he was the one that helped orchestrate the 1-to-1 concert, the Willowbrook rehearsals and all this stuff. So I have an album, an unofficial album called Willowbrook Rehearsals, and I have to check the cover. I think Geraldo's there with the band and John and Yoko. And if he is, I think when I go to this convention in April, I think I'm going to ask him to sign that cover. So I'm going to see.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we haven't even got the Daytime Revolution hasn't even got a UK release yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
No, it's just on region 1 and region 8.
Yeah, US soil. Yeah.
We haven't got a version of it yet.
Well, you guys got the family way Blu-ray release over there, So you guys kind of, it's kind of like evened it out a little bit,
I think I know which one I prefer.
Yeah, what's her name's Bum or Seeing Her Bum or Daytime Revolution?
Yeah.
Yeah. But actually, you know what, to be honest with you, I was kind of like a little when I got that Family Way Blu-ray, I did get it from the UK because I got a region free Blu-ray player. Yeah. And I was just like, I didn't know what to expect, but once I knew what the story was about, I was just laughing my ass off throughout the whole movie. So I thought it was a good little film.
Yeah.
Let's see here. James says he has these first 6 Badfinger albums, and most are very good. Straight Up is probably the best one. Okay.
Quite a lot of people on my channel have been saying about the album Head First, so I do feel inclined to at least have a listen to it, because when people keep recommending an album, you should probably give it a go, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
At the moment, I only own Straight Up. Oh, so that is the new one. The new one, yeah. Yeah,
so Carolyn's talking about the Kevin McDonald film, which is coming out on general release shortly. Mother sounded breathtaking in the BFI where I saw. Okay, cool.
That sounds
very cool.
Fantastic. That's very encouraging news.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Joe, that guy who commented on my comment was real disgusting. I'm sure you get those things too. Yeah, I mean, how do you handle comments that you just Joe, on your comments that just bother you or whatnot. You
Well, for
just
one thing, my short-term memory is failing again. I don't remember the comment.
No.
I have to go look at it, but it depends. If it's really a bad comment, I'll just delete it. If it's a lot of times, I love to, answer it. If depending on, as long as it's a difference of opinion, that's fine. But as long as it's not respectful, or you dumb lousy
right.
so, or even that, sometimes I get a kick out of responding to. It depends what it is. Sometimes
Right.
I get a few zingers this morning. I got a couple of zingers, and I gave it right back to them.
Of course you did. I
Yeah,
wouldn't expect anything else from you,
Yeah,
Joe.
sure.
Tone, you get some crappy comments from
I
time to time?
do. I do. I enjoy them as well, and try and give something back. Unless they're, if I won't tolerate like insulting stuff, like talking about about Yoko and doing this. I won't have that. I'll just delete that sort of crap. But if it's someone, if someone's criticizing something that that I've said and I still think they're wrong, then I'll just keep coming back with it. The ranking videos are the ones that are probably more controversial than anything else, because
Right.
it's like, how can you possibly include this but leave out that? And well, the answer is because it's my ranking.
It's my
video.
list.
And
Right.
you put your ranking, your ranking song down in the comments, and I'll read them, and I'll comment on them. But this is my ranking, and this is just
Right.
my opinion. And opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one, haven't they?
Well, you mentioned Yoko. I'd want to say a couple of things. There's two things I don't tolerate on my channel, and I want to be clear about the Yoko one.
Right.
There's plenty of places you can go to trash Yoko. Not on my channel, but that doesn't mean you can't express, I don't really care for her too much. She's not my
Right.
style.
Yeah,
I don't like the song. She can't sing, in my opinion. People think that anything like negative, I don't accept. It's just when you get nasty, you're going to say nasty stuff or disgusting stuff. I don't need that. And the second thing is, I don't tolerate Paul is dead idiots.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I don't. You're not going to talk about William Campbell or whoever. Or whatever his name is, Billy or whatever. Not on mine, you're not. I mean, that's just so
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, here we got James says, I'm also looking forward to the Pink Floyd Live at Pompeii film and album reissue, which is coming out. So yeah, I saw that's coming out in like a 5.1. I do remember I saw that in the early 2000s on DVD. Tone, as a prog guy, are you a fan of this Pink Floyd Live in Pompeii?
Not really. No, I'm not. I'm not really.
Right.
I'm not a prog guy at all. I do have. I've got a little window for Pink Floyd, which goes between Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall, and I'm not really interested in too much else.
Well, you should check out
Same
the
here.
album prior to. Check out the album prior to Obscured by Clouds. I think that's an accessible album as well.
Okay.
It's not like Uma Guma where it's like one song per side.
Yeah.
It's just, which is asking a lot for your fan base. Just
And
listen
what
to
is
one.
that? What is that on the cover of Medal? Is it a nostril? I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's interesting. Nostril.
The album came out in 1972. I still haven't worked out what it is.
Right. Still haven't worked it out what that is. Yeah. Who knows? We're gonna. The band's probably gonna take that to their grave. What the hell is that? Charlie says, Tone, as you hear about the guys attending the fest here in the U.S., do you participate for Beatles Week in Liverpool?
I have done. I haven't been for a few years because I think it's tailed off quite a bit now. But I do love hearing about the fest and everyone going. And you never know, I might just turn up one of these days. Not the next one, but maybe the one after that. The Chicago.
That would be great. One after 909. Yeah.
You never know.
You never know. Now this is where I'm gonna respond because like if this guy calls you an idiot, like he basically called me, do you respond? When it comes to name calling, I
Yeah.
tend to just block the people if they're gonna be rude and start doing name calling. I'm not gonna engage, really. So
I'm looking at the comment here, Beetle Eddie. I mean, the response I see, if you're talking, if it's from Triple Jazz, he's been very supportive of my stance on the whole thing, to say the least. But I'm reading it here, and I hear stuff like your comment is very rude and without any nuance. He's saying to you, I don't see you calling you an idiot.
mm,
That's
okay.
Jeremy, isn't he? That's Jeremy. He used to be on my chat. He doesn't come on my channel anymore, but
That's Jeremy?
Yeah, Triple Jazz bloke.
Oh yeah, Triple Jazz.
I think he's from Is he from Tasmania?
Something music. Triple Jazz
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. Christopher Hahn.
So here you go. Yeah, the middle cover.
You made my day. So that's what
there we go. We solved the mystery here. Solved the mystery. So 1-to-1. So I'm sure when we see the video, I'm sure we're going to see a Wingnut credit in there. Peter Jackson's team. I'm curious if they worked on it. We know Peter Jackson's team worked on the Bangladesh footage, which I guess we're going to get new a new version of this, right? A new restored version. So later this year too. I mean, where's your excitement level for a reissue of Bangladesh? Because we haven't gotten a reissue on vinyl, I think, for a while. We did get the CD version, but what about the vinyl? What do you guys think?
For me, I don't care about the audio, to tell you the truth. Like when I say this about some releases, certain concerts, I rather watch it. Like if I'm going to do rock show, I rather watch the rock show concert, rather than play the audio. I don't know if that's the best example. Maybe not in that case. What other examples?
Rather than listen to Wings Over America, you'd rather watch the video.
Yeah, what did I say? Yeah, Wings Over America. Yeah, I'd rather probably watch it. Yeah. But Bangladesh, more than ever, I never play it. I like to watch the movie. But in that case, though, I was good with what we have. But when there's a new one, I'll upgrade it. But I'm pretty okay. It's not one of my biggest. I'm not excited for Bangladesh. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, pretty much. I thought the remaster that we got 2005. Thought that was pretty good.
5 or something like that.
That was a CD remaster though. So yeah, if it's been remixed up, I'll definitely get it. But it's not, it's not high up on my, on my wish list. But if it comes out, it comes out, and I'll get it. You always like to get an upgrade, but
yes, yeah. I thought the DVD looked fantastic. I thought that remaster that they did for that was not remastered, but you know what I'm talking about. But I thought that looked great. But I'm sure it's going to look fantastic, especially if Wingnut had a hand in it. And so I'm looking forward to it. I've always been a big fan of the Bangladesh concert. I especially love the Dylan stuff.
Me too. I think as much as I love George, I think to me Dylan stole the show. I think.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible. You might be right about that. Mike, I'm not going to bring up your comment just so you know. I've talked about that plenty of times, and we're just going to leave it at that.
Okay. Tom, were you going to say something about Bangladesh?
I was just going to say about Dylan at Bangladesh. I think it was such a big impact because they didn't really know until he walked out on the stage whether he was even going to be there or not, did they, or whatever. But he's a bit unreliable. But
yeah, a lot of us come here because it's fun and even learn something after all these years. That's the thing is, I mean, we're all still learning after all these years.
Always. I've learned something new all the time.
And me.
Right.
Since I've had my channel, I can't tell you how much I've learned from different people.
Yeah, I would definitely go if they brought the Bangladesh film, restored it to IMAX. I will be there. Absolutely.
Me too.
Tone, are they showing did they show the Becoming Led Zeppelin documentary out by you yet?
They did show it, but it was on for about a week, and I missed it. I went and saw the Dylan movie. They
Right.
advertised it as coming. I think it was the something like the 18th of February or something, and
Right.
it's gone already. It's gone. So I'm on the lookout for little cinemas that are still showing it. But
Yeah, fantastic.
I have to. I guess it's going to go to streaming at some point, or
Right.
maybe it'll just be a Blu-ray of it or whatever.
I was going to
Yeah,
see it.
yeah.
I like Led Zeppelin, but then I heard, I mean, people were talking about a lot of talking heads in it, mostly. I don't know how true that is.
No, it's only the four band members.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
It's very Beatles anthology-esque, in my opinion. And they showed this great clip. I mean, Joe, if you guys remember the complete Beatles, they had the skiffle guy. I'm forgetting his name right now. He's doing the
Lonnie
Jack of
Donegan.
Diamonds song.
Lonnie
Yeah,
Donegan.
yeah. And they showed that skit. They showed that bit in this documentary too, because I guess Jimmy Page was a huge skiffle guy, and I had a big smile on my face because I love that scene in the complete Beatles film, and it was just so cool to see it, restored, on the big screen. And it looked beautiful. All the footage in this look absolutely beautiful. So
I'll need to find some
James
free
Mack,
time to see it.
yeah.
I have
I
a
hope
lot
you
of
do. Yeah, right. And Beetle Eddie and Sticklomania said Leon Russell was great. Yeah, his version of Youngblood,
He was really good.
on
Jumping Jack Flash,
Bangladesh. Yeah.
yeah.
And then didn't he do a verse on Just Like a Woman too, I think, or something like that?
And he did a verse on Beware of Darkness as well, didn't he?
Beware
Yeah,
Darkness. Yeah, and that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beware
Yeah.
Dark.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, most fans aren't respectful, even though Tom is wrong about
Now, we were in the car listening to it the other night. At the end, I'm like, "Oh, here it comes." I thought of you, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, it wasn't so. It was, I enjoyed it this time. It wasn't bad.
I don't know what I just love the deep breathing he does in that song, or in the instrumental. It's just and I just love it in headphones too. It's just so much better in headphones on. But whatever. And for you is look. I liked the song, but when I saw the video, I mean, because he's like, what? There's been plenty of times in my life where I met somebody and I really liked them, and on the way home or from meeting them, I got a song is in my head and I'm just singing, I'm happy, just like the kid does in the video, So that really took me back.
Well, a lot of people don't know Andy Nichols was in that video. He plays the kid.
Yes, that was he plays the kid.
Watch the video again. It's Andy.
Yeah, it does look a little like Andy. It does.
Talking about learning stuff. So
Yeah.
as you know, I posted my video today about the my top 20 picks of between 2010 and 2020, and one of my viewers went to the trouble of going to see which were the most streamed Paul McCartney songs from this decade, and he posted them on my in the comments. It was really interesting. So if you take out obviously the most streamed songs are the ones where he's with Kanye West and Rihanna and those ones. But you take those out and take out the remixes from McCartney 3 Imagined, a pure Paul McCartney song. What were the top two streamed songs from that decade?
Yeah, you got me wondering. You want to guess? How about oh, geez. I don't know. I mean, out of which date we're talking about? From what? 2000?
2010 to 2020.
How about? Oh, wait a minute. How about "Come On to Me"?
Yep, that was.
Woohoo!
That was. I think that was either number one or number two. I can't remember. But the other one was "For You."
Yes.
Oh, yeah, well.
What sometimes you just can't help people, can you?
And I love "Come On to Me." I love that damn song to death. I love it.
Yeah. Let's see. Carol Ann says, I'm expecting this would be a must see. Well, only if you're a real fan. Only if you're a real fan. Any restored 74 concert footage that comes out, by the way, don't let 1-to-1 pass you by as a cinema experience. It's so worth seeing on the big screen. Yeah,
No, I'll
I
be there,
definitely
no doubt.
want to see
No
it.
doubt.
Yeah.
Chance to be a fine thing. We don't get everything here, but I hope we get that at the cinema because I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So I hope you do too. Um, Hope you do too. So yeah, what else is out there, everybody? So yeah, okay. So then we got what did we get? The Ringo album. So I don't know if we'll get anything else from Ringo this year.
No.
Well, there's the television special coming up.
Well, I mean,
Oh yeah.
I mean, physical media wise, I don't know if we'll get anything else from Ringo,
I
unless this
think
concert gets a DVD release.
he said. I thought he said he had another EP still left over. Like
Mm,
I don't know. I think I remember that. But
It's
okay.
crazy. It's crazy though that we've not been able to get a box set of the Ringo album when they keep churning out different versions of old wave and Stop and Smell the Roses,
Right.
colored vinyl and record store.
Well,
day
it's
and
because
all
yeah,
that.
well, who
well
owns it?
I mean that new company that's releasing it. I mean they have the rights to do with it what they will. Yeah, I'd be really interested to see the sales on all those releases because didn't what was the Friday Music? They had a couple of his albums and they were releasing different colors
Yeah.
of a few of his
There's a Ringo
records as
album
well.
coming out from Friday Music. We forgot about, right? It's
Oh yeah, I saw that.
it's
yeah.
on red. An option you have red vinyl. I got to look it up now. What is it? Is it
a Roundhead show from 2007?
Yeah, there you go.
Was that
Okay,
it?
yes, then you're right. Yes, I remember that now. It's the sound check or soundstage.
Soundstage?
Yeah, soundstage.
Soundstage.
Yes.
I just want to look. I know somebody who sent it to me exactly. Come on, where is it? Ringo Starr Live Soundstage on Friday Music. Two color vinyl versions, one on red and one on gold. And that's I don't know exactly. I think it's the spring. I think it's April.
Okay.
So there you go. That's
What about anthology? Lot of talk about anthology.
yeah.
So that would be a fourth quarter release then because our anthology came out in November.
Doesn't necessarily mean that they would do it at the same time.
Yeah, they can pick
Right.
and choose really which anniversary they celebrate because we've got Rubber Soul in December. There's also there's Help in April. Looks like we're too late for that now.
Yeah.
But anthology, I guess, could come any time.
I think anthology, in my opinion, is the best bet. That seems the most realistic that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Some kind of reissue or re-release or tribute or something, right? And then supposedly the two songs remixed again, fixed up, "Free as a Bird" and "Real Love."
But it'll be. I was kind of like not that interested about anthology, and then I kind of thought about obviously the two songs I want remixed.
Yeah.
Now we've heard what they could do with Now and Then. I want to hear now what they can do with the first two, which were in better shape than the Now and Then cassette. So it should be amazing. But also the stuff, mainly on Anthology 1, Anthology 2, the live stuff, that early stuff, if that can be cleaned up with the MAL technology, that could be really great. Well,
there might be more footage in it, there might be more stuff that wasn't in it originally that's going to be in it now. There was a longer version of it.
Are you thinking more of a video release, a streaming release rather than a re-release of the audio, or both?
I'm thinking more of a visual thing, but also like we said that we know the two songs are going to be done, or is it three songs? What am I doing? Two songs. I'm thinking of Now and Then. Yeah, we mentioned the two songs. Are they going to put another album? I don't know. I think I heard you say on a show, Tone, and I agree with you. they're going to go through the trouble of remastering some of those outtakes or anything?
Yeah, I mean that's why I wasn't sure whether they would bother with anthology, but the things that I mean the box sets that have come out, the individual album box sets, some of them have included tracks that were on anthology, haven't they? Maybe with a little bit of extra chit chat at the beginning or at the end or something like that. But they have remixed them for those. Box
then
sets.
Maybe they could, and maybe they would.
Right.
What I don't think they're going to do is add any extra material if they put out an audio, because they'll be saving those for the box sets.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I was gonna say, hoping now that the technology has gotten better, maybe some of the stuff, other live stuff that they thought was not, usable. I mean, maybe they can, fix those stuff up and make it, more usable for this release possibly. But I would love, I would just love Freeze a Bird and Real Love redone, which I guess Danny and Sean have listened to a new take of that, which I think all of us agree. I think that's one of the things that we want. I got another phone call. I got to take this real quick.
Yeah, I definitely want that. I mean, I always was soured on Free as a Bird. It's so dismal sounding. I hope they can do something to make it a little bit more lively and clean something. I liked Real Love better personally, but I don't know.
I mean, I love them. I love them both, but Free as a Bird, I know what you mean. I do know what you mean, but I just, for me, just the hearing of Free as a Bird, the day that the first day they played it on the radio, hearing like the Beatles' first new song since I'd become a fan, with John, with the other three, was just such a moment that I've always got that sort of, a soft spot for Free as a Bird. But I do get what you mean. I do get what you mean.
Yeah. Oh.
I remember sort of critics sort of calling it a dirge and stuff like that. When it came out, but I just loved it.
Well, I know what you mean too about the excitement of it and everything.
Yeah.
So what else can we go? This Paul is dead. You want to do even though it's not highlighted. I want to address this. Beetle Eddie says, I know that this is something you guys don't want to talk about this, but I 100% do not believe Paul died and was replaced. I do, however, believe that the clues were put deliberately for publicity. I don't believe that. I know some of them I'm like, how could that be a coincidence? But I don't think I really don't believe that. Nobody said anything, and nobody in the entourage, none of the behind the scenes people, none of the four Beatles, nobody ever let it out of the bag in all these decades. That's just my opinion. I don't believe it was deliberate.
No, I don't believe it either. But I have to say, I don't mind talking about Paul is dead at all. I love the story. I just love the story.
Oh, no, I don't mind the story, I guess. But when people there's people that believe it. There's not people that say, let's just have fun discussing the myth of it. They believe it. They want to prove it. And the thing that gets me is,
I know. It's hilarious. I mean, in the very early days of my channel, one of the first videos that I did was a video about the Paul is dead story and kind of debunking, the various theories, and doing quite a bit of research on it. And one of the things that I didn't realize until I did this was the Volkswagen Beetle, who is actually the real fifth Beatle.
Yeah.
The number plate, the 28, if he would have been
28
if he lived. Well, in the 60s in the UK, the format for number plates, registration plates on cars was the final letter represented the year of manufacturing, and before that were three numbers. So that actually is 281F, not 28.
Right.
It's not an I. It's not even an I.
But I'm saying I get that for sure, right? But the thing is, some people can say, well, they knew that, but still they put it there anyway to make it as a clue. But the thing is, he would have been 27.
Us Yanks wouldn't know that.
No, he wouldn't
So,
know
No,
that.
a lot of people
Right.
wouldn't. Yeah.
right,
But he would have been 27, not 28. So that's
Yes,
wrong.
that's true.
right,
As
right.
well.
That's
That's
the
right.
first group.
Yeah.
And also, oh, look, he's barefoot. That's the way that they bury corpses somewhere in Italy or
Right.
something. I don't
Yeah.
know. Well, the thing is,
Right.
now
The
we
red
know.
rose, the black rose as well.
But wait, with the foot thing, we've come to realize that he did both. He had sandals on, he had them off. He
Right.
on off. It could have been one of the sandal pictures. It just worked out that way.
Yeah.
The
I mean, it's
carnation
fun.
thing is
It's
really
fun to read all that stuff when you're like an early Beatle fan,
Yeah.
or a teenager. You don't know any better, But once you get past that, there's no
I
point.
Buried Paul is clearly, well, people still
Yeah.
say they hear I Buried
Right.
Paul, but if you listen to, especially on the anthology, you can hear the loud and clear fade out thing with John saying cranberry sauce. You can hear it over
Right.
and over again, the same fade out. Only it's not faded out. It's the way it was recorded. Then later they faded it. It's what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's so clear, and then you go on and on with this stuff forever.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, no, Charlie. Work did not call, so I'm not going to work. Anywho, we're gonna keep this going. I might just go live 24 hours. Let's see here.
Yeah,
for a new
this
record.
is a biggie. This is a biggie.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. We'll save that for some kind of anniversary or something. So, but yeah, good point, Joe. 'Cause I completely forgot about that soundstage release from Ringo. Um, but yeah, but what? So it was what? Old Wave and Stop and Smell the Roses. That one company. I'm forgetting the name of the record label that released those two. And they've yeah. So what they did was they licensed that music from whoever owns it. I don't think they own it, so they would license it. They would license it for a certain amount of time, and they can reissue it as however many times they want, just like Friday Music did with the albums that I'm forgetting. Was it Rotogravure or what albums did Friday
Ringo the
Music?
Fourth got loads of different.
Ringo the Fourth got
different
loads
colours,
of
didn't
them.
it? Yeah.
Well, the Bad
Right,
Boy
yeah.
album also.
Or was it Bad Boy?
Bad
I can't
Boy,
remember.
that's right. Yeah, it was Bad
No,
Boy.
they had Ringo the Fourth and Rotogravure with different colors. They had the Bad Boy
Right.
album with the color.
Right.
What's the other one? Oh boy. And well, Time Takes Time was also out with a couple of variations. For me, I want the ones that are never been out on vinyl from him. Vertical Man, Liverpool 8, Choose Love, Ringo Rama. Those are the ones I'd like to see out on vinyl.
Sorry, I'm kind of like texting at the same time.
Look, pay attention to your show, damn it.
Yeah, I know.
No, I do the same thing all the time.
It's lucky we're here, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, that's the only reason. Believe me, we're only here for that. That's it.
So talk amongst yourselves. Yeah. So
Jay says, in my opinion, Paul definitely didn't die, but the Beatles put clues out there. It was an in-joke. Well, that makes you happy, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
And the line about what confuses people is the line in Glass Onion when he says, "Here's another clue for you all."
Clue for you all. Yeah.
The walrus was Paul. He's not referring to the Paul is dead stuff. He's talking about when people used to see like things in the lyrics, like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, LSD. These were saying it's LSD. There's a hint in the song, and he made a comment on that, like people always reading into things. So he just said, "Here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul." He could have said anything. Here's another dingo. I had dinner with Ringo. He could have said anything, but he said that. Then later on, when the Paul is dead thing came into fruition, they went back to Glass Onion,
Right.
to say, "Oh, that was a hint that Paul died or something."
Wink has a question for you, Joe. Did you see Ringo and the Roundheads at Irving Plaza?
No, I wish I had. That was a small, intimate gig, right, with Ringo and the band. I really wish I could have seen that, and it was him doing, other songs too, right? Not just the usual.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
it wasn't the All-Star band,
Mm.
It
Right.
was his own stuff. Like I think like the VH1 storytellers.
Gotcha. Do any of you guys know why Real Love was taken off a cassette tape Yoko gave them on a better tape of John recording his version of Real Love, the one from the Imagine John Lennon CD?
Well, that's different. A lot of people say, "Oh, I heard that already." I wasn't that excited by Real Love because I heard it already. You know, in the John Lennon movie, Imagine John Lennon, the documentary. But it's different. It's a different take. You know.
I think could it be to do with the actual version of the song? Because the one on the Imagine soundtrack, he sings real life quite a lot, doesn't it? It's really,
Yeah.
rather than Real Love.
Well, they were shown on the Lost Lennon tapes radio broadcast, you know, and I have like an album series that I think there's 30 something volumes of that, and they play different versions of Real Life. It was Real Life at a time, and then Real Love, you know. Sometimes it was called Boys and Girls too, you know.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's how I was introduced to that song for the John Lennon documentary. You know, Imagine John Lennon. So I have a hard time acknowledging that song as a Beatles song because I was introduced to it like Joe. I mean, you were introduced to it as a solo John song. You know.
Yeah, except it is different. That's the thing. I don't think. I don't know. I'm all right with it because I look at it as two different songs almost. If you listen to it, listen to the lyrics. There's some differences in there.
Yeah, there are differences.
Right.
But then you can kind of can you flip that theory and accept something like Jealous Guy as being a John Lennon song rather than Child of Nature being a Beatles song?
That's interesting.
That's interesting. That's a good.
Well, Child of Nature.
I was just playing the cat amongst the pigeons. He's playing Devil's Advocate.
But Child of Nature's played with the Beatles, technically, right? Child of Nature. Whereas Jealous Guy is John alone, solo. So that's interesting.
It's kind of the opposite.
Right.
Beatles
66.
The Clues did, but they didn't start talking about it till 69.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So the thing about the walrus was Paul. I don't know how else to explain it, but that was already that was just something John said that had nothing to do with the Paul is dead.
Right.
rumor.
Right. Joey, how you doing? Thanks for being here. He says, "Hi Tom, saw you and Kid acknowledging the Ribbons of Rust book. Nice. I did not know that. I'm looking up the Ribbons of Rust right now. It's called Ribbons of Rust: The Beatles Recording History and Context, Volume 1, July 54 through January 62. I don't know why I would be acknowledged. Oh, okay, I see. It's written by Robert Rodriguez and Jerry Hammack. Okay, both that I know. Jerry Hammack is a good friend who's authored a couple books, and Robert Rodriguez, as we know, as the host of Something About the Beatles podcast. So that's nice of them to include me in the acknowledgments. I did not expect that at all. So, and I don't do this show to get acknowledged for things like that. But I thank you. I guess I'll have to reach out to them and thank them. And I'll have to get the book now too, I guess. So that was very nice. But thank you for letting me know that, Joe. Appreciate that. Wink says, real love during the opening of Imagine, John Lennon blew my mind. It was worth going back to see the movie twice, more than just to hear that rendition. Yeah,
I agree. And I was just thinking, at the end of it, on that rendition of the Imagine John Lennon movie, there's a verse something about, I don't expect you to understand the kingdom of heaven is in your hands, or something like that, which is not in the Beatles thing. You know, it's a different take.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm just getting nonstop texts and Facebook messagings over here. So sorry about that, guys. What else? Tom, what else you been up to? But I'm glad you're feeling better. Any plans for
nothing much? I'm just recovering now. and
Yeah.
getting my strength back and stuff like that, and getting back into making videos. Got loads of videos ideas. It's just finding the time to do it. That's the problem. I thought I'd have loads of time once I'd retired.
Right.
I've no idea I had time to work.
Right.
Yeah. How about you,
But,
Joe?
Enjoying life.
I don't know. Whenever I come up with ideas, I do it. I've been trying to keep up a little notepad where I keep the notations of things I got to make. So when there's time where I don't have any topics that are news or anything new like current, I can just look for things, old standard topics, that on the side that you could put up anytime, so.
I like this one. Any truth to the rumor that his real name is Beatly Tone Loke? Do you remember Tone Loke? Tone.
No, this
you know who that was?
This one is going.
Yeah, I heard the name.
What is it?
Yeah, he was a rapper from the late 80s. He did a rap for Wild Thing, and then another rap for a song called Funky Cold Medina. Back in the late 80s. Yeah.
No, that has just totally passed me by. Sorry.
Yeah. Did you hear? Yeah. Well, yeah, Beetle Eddie, we talked about that in the video. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's all about. I don't know necessarily if you wrote it. They're just taking a lot of quotes from Paul and members of the band throughout the time of Wings. So it should be pretty interesting.
And it's important that it's called A Band on the Run rather than Band on the Run, because people that's about the album Band on the Run, but it's
exactly
Band on the Run about the whole of Wings.
Yeah. That one letter makes a big deal. By the way, Tom, I enjoyed watching your show about collecting.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Thank you.
Wasn't it brilliant? I was laughing so much. It's great. It was really
about collecting.
Thanks. Nick gave us those questions, and I thought they were good questions, and we had a lot of fun with it. Yeah. I guess if it's out there and I don't have it, I want it. As long as it's a reasonable price. I've picked up a few cassettes that I didn't have. So my cassette collection is almost complete. I need to get a few more of those. But the 45s that I've been collecting from around the world, the picture sleeves from around the world, that's going to continue probably until I drop dead, I guess.
Have you got any idea of how many you need?
Yeah, for the first half, because I would like to put these in book form. Okay, so I'm thinking 71 to 75, and then 76 to 91, or sorry, 76 to 79. Okay, so I would do like 2 books, because the 70s is when you really get a good variety of picture sleeves from around the world. Okay, so like let's say like My Love could have like 12, 13 different picture sleeves from around the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So to complete volume 1, I'm still looking at right around 30. So I'm getting close.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Getting closer.
Here's the thing. Getting closer, but here's the thing. The ones from Israel, I mean, they're from like 200 to, I mean, like $100 to $280.
Wow,
so these
really,
so these ones are from Israel, and I'm getting to the point now to the ones that I need are from like $50 to about $300. So it's gonna probably be another good 2 years before I finally get to the point where I can say, okay, I'm happy with where I'm at, now, and then now I can finish the second half of the 70s, so, but yeah, like Joe says, getting closer. Let's see here. I got tickets for Paul Simon on Paul McCartney's birthday. Very cool. Very cool, Beetle Eddie. Let's see here. Holy smokes. Hey, guys. Glad this old man checked his phone.
Hey, Russ.
Hey, Russ.
How you doing, Russ? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. What
Welcome
are
to
the
Four
best
Legs.
flea markets? Yeah. What are the best flea market or garage sale Beetle finds you guys have gotten over the years? Joe, does any flea market finds, Beetle finds come to mind?
Man. I guess I'm thinking what pops in my head. One of them was a live piece in Toronto album. Now, it's not that uncommon to find live piece in Toronto sealed with the calendar.
Really?
Um, because there was something to do with a warehouse of them. I don't know if John Lennon bought a bunch. Something happened with the warehouse where they were around. And even in my record store, I think they still have a bunch. But when I was at the flea market, I think I got one with a hype sticker that I'd never seen before from back in 1969. That was cool. And you don't always see that. That's one that comes to mind. I'm sure there's other things. I'm looking at a poster here that I got when I was like 17 in the flea market. And that was the picture of them in their collarless suits with the orange background poster, like life size kind of thing. Not really exactly life size, but they look like they're life size. That's another thing. And one last thing, although it's not Beatles related, probably one of the things that I'm most happy I ever found was I got a vinyl edition of the soundtrack to a movie called The Andromeda Strain. And it was, that was at Hexagon, whatever. It was like the weird shaped record. And I've never seen a copy of that before or since in the wild. I mean, it's hard to find those. They're scarce. No sooner was I happy about it when Record Store Day, they reissued it. So everybody's but the thing is,
Yeah. Speaking of Record Store Day, you know, I love All Things Must Pass. I am going to get that Zoetrope.
well, I love Tony in that one.
Yeah. And I know how Tony feels about it, but
Me too. I feel the
that
same.
haven't watched people that haven't watched that video yet, Tony, go for it.
Anybody want my electronic sound version?
Wonderful music. I got those two thinking that I would be collecting because I didn't know anything about Zoetropes when that came out. I thought I'll get them because they look really nice and it might be a collection that I want to I want to start. Maybe I want to start collecting them. And then I just thought they sound terrible, and you have to look through an app on your phone to see all the things moving, and no one listens to music like that. So they're things to collect rather than to listen to, I think would be my view on them. And that box is not going to be cheap, is it? It's going to be over probably $100. I would have thought.
I'm guessing maybe 70 to 80 myself, and it's going to be curious to see how they package it, if they're going to put it in the normal the box which it has been coming in over the last 50 plus years.
From what it looked like, from what it looked like in the graphic, you can never tell whether the graphic is exactly what you're going to get. But looking at the graphic, it looked like it didn't have like the coloured inners, so it's probably just got a like a polyline sleeve, and it looked like it didn't have the poster either. But it was obviously the 3 records in the box.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, so I am interested. I'm not the biggest fan of that green, that olive green that's on the 1-to-1 concert sleeve.
And Andy said the same. I'm okay with it. It's all right, but it's not that interesting to be honest. But it's what's in the sleeve that counts.
It's what's inside that counts, my friend. You are 100% correct on that.
Yeah, so, I'm looking for something, Tom, but don't tell me I can't find it. Oh, geez, I want to.
You better find it.
Come on. You know what I'm looking for.
You know what Joe. Come on.
Something that I knew you said you're still looking to find.
Well,
I can't find
it.
I know what it is. I know what he's looking for. He's looking for that bloody sealed copy of Rushes, isn't he?
He's going to rub that in again, isn't he? He's going to rub it in again.
I got the Liverpool Oratorio here. I don't know.
Well, I have that.
Oh, that's no big deal then. That's not going to torture you enough. No, I can't find it. Jeez, I don't know. Yeah, I hope
It's funny how many ways that I can listen to certain things. Like the oratorio, I can listen to it on CD, vinyl, cassette, and Blu-ray, or DVD or whatever, and cassette and cassettes. So I can listen to the oratorio five different ways. Let's see here. Choices. Tone to hit the nail on the head. Who's standing over your stereo to watch it? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah. That's
yeah,
the thing with the Zoe trope he's talking about, Charlie.
yeah, yeah. Well, I guess it's just up to the consumer.
Yeah, of
Really.
course it is. As is everything. As is everything.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, how about working classical?
Is that you, Joe?
Do you have a working classical?
Yes.
Okay. Oh boy, I think it's gone. Oh, there it is. There it is. I got it all the way. I got it all the way in the back so it stays safe. Damn it.
How much do you want for it, Joe?
Oh, I can't let this go.
Yeah, come on, Joe.
Oh, well, it's not sealed. It's not sealed.
Oh, it's not sealed.
You're just
No,
gonna
it's not
you're just
sealed.
gonna sell it, Joe. You don't want it. You really don't want it.
No, this is one I got to keep. I may even play it one day. Yeah, I hate that people got it. They doesn't even play the damn thing I want. Oh my god!
I love the image, though. I love the.
I didn't realize
female,
there was a nude image on this thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I have to put this. Oh, it wasn't a sleeve. What is? I'm getting old. I swear. I'm like, I got to put it in a sleeve. It was. I took it out of the sleeve.
You're getting older.
No, you'll get. You'll get one. You know how it is. You'll get one. This one was pricey though. This was probably the priciest of the McCartney albums when I got it.
Oh, it's that and Twin Freaks. I spent I think I spent over $250 for Twin Freaks.
Yeah, I think I got this one for $2. I think.
Yeah. Peter says it's not a great album.
That's neither here nor there, is it?
It's a one.
Yes.
It's a
I don't
one-time
care.
listen, isn't it? It's a one-time listen.
Okay, guys, we all have learned that Paul is a workaholic, making music all the time. Do you think John, George, and Ringo did as well? Well, we did learn that John did record a lot of stuff during his bread making, years, but not to the extent where, Paul would just, walk to the studio and record a song. But I like when we had Lawrence Juber on, we talked about Paul as a workaholic, and he described him more as somebody that has great work ethic. And there's a little bit of a difference between workaholic and worth ethic.
Paul is a workaholic.
Yes, well,
he's also got an excellent work ethic,
Yeah,
But then again,
okay.
I have a lousy work ethic. But if I was doing what Paul does for a living, if like when it comes to my channel, I have a work ethic with my channel. Say when I love something I'm doing,
Right.
But it's funny because at first I was thinking, well, John is, obviously one thing we learned is that John was not. He was lazy and he was not as. He was like, let's get out of here. A lot of times in the outtakes, you'll hear him, oh, come on, let's go, and
He
stuff like that.
He didn't like to spend a lot of time in the studio, did he?
Yeah.
Especially during the solo years, he'd have his songs written going 2 weeks, and he wanted to be out.
Yeah, he didn't want. Yeah. So, but then I saw you said as part of that, you said, Russ, about music. Do you think they made music on the side? Now, George did say he's got a ton of stuff, right? He said he's got loads of things, which we're never going to hear because all they want to do is put out Bangladesh and All Things Must Pass again and again.
Well, we'll see. I mean, listen, there was a few cookie crumbs in the All Things Must Pass set that I didn't know about because I'm not a bootleg collector. So there was a few good crumbs in there. Speaking of bootlegs, I started listening to my favorite bootleg of all the ones that I've heard, and plus it's the very first bootleg that I've ever listened to, and it's the Beatles Black Album,
They still don't
which
have.
is one that. Yeah, which I mean now you can find it for like $150 on CD, on eBay. But I don't know if you're familiar with the Beatles Black Album.
Well, there's two Black albums, isn't there? There's one which is
Right.
kind of like bits from the Let It Be sessions, the Get
These
Back,
sessions, right? Yeah,
and then
yeah.
there's
This,
another one which is like from the solo years, all like
right.
if they
It's not that,
hadn't split up.
right? Yeah, it's not that. It's from the Let It Be sessions. So it starts off with Tennessee, then it goes into the controversial, the White Power and Enoch Powell stuff, and I love it. I just love that the versions of those. It has like a really sped up version of Get Back on there.
Yeah.
Is that the one
So
with
yeah.
John singing? There's a Get Back with John singing lead vocal.
I don't remember
I don't
that.
recall that.
Yeah, I don't recall John singing a Get Back, but I think no, he was co-singing it with Paul. He was co-singing it with Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
They were doing both. They were doing the verse. They were doing the verses together. Um, but yeah, a lot of cool stuff on there. George doing "Mama, You've Been on My Mind." A Dylan song. But yeah, it's good. It's really good stuff.
Can I address Beetle Eddie's question way up the top?
Which one? Wait to that. Yeah, let me get
About
to there.
about Lucy in the Sky.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, thank you, Joe. Do you
Yeah,
really believe John when he says "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds" is not about
well,
LSD?
the thing about it is that I think what he was saying is that it's not like he chose the words Lucy, Sky, Diamonds to spell out LSD. That was that we all know about that was Julian's classmate.
Yeah.
He did a picture with the girl flying around his classmate Lucy, and Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So he wrote a song. Now, do I think that there was some drug inspiration in there or hints? I do. I do. And I think even Paul said that, didn't Paul kind of say that he in later years, fairly recent years, saying that, yeah, well, we did a little drug imagery in there or something. But I know what he's saying. It's not like LSD. I made it Lucy Sky with Diamonds for that.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't believe that he could have done that because he would have been so stoned. He'd never been able to put that together like that. He wouldn't have been able to think of that. I think I think it's a bit. It's a obviously the song is influenced by LSD. The title probably did come from the painting, but I think
It's more of a coincidence that the LSD is there.
Another thing I want to say is what kills me about questions like this is John would always tell you everything. I mean, I don't know. He would say, "Oh yeah, I wrote this about this day trip," or what. Sometimes he said it could be about drugs. I think depends what day you got him on. Or he'll say like, "This song's about heroin withdrawal." This song is about this. Oh, but Lucy in the Sky. Oh, that wasn't. It's like. Why? I think he would tell you if it was. He eventually told you Sexy Sadie was about the Maharishi, although at first he did try to disguise it as Sexy Sadie.
Yeah, but didn't he also say cold turkey was actually about eating a bad?
I heard that. Yeah, what is that about? I did. That's you say. Remember we just talked a little while ago about we always keep learning things.
Right. Yes.
And I that was a relatively new thing that I learned that I didn't know that he said that. But he also did definitely say it was about withdrawing from heroin.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right.
It definitely was about that.
But
Ringo said he and John didn't want to work, and Paul would push. Getting back to that.
Oh yeah, he said that for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they would have got nothing done in the last couple of years without Paul.
No, maybe all along. I'm still, like I said, my respect for Paul has gone way up over the decades. Because obviously, I mean, we know this. We know that Paul, he was the one. You always see photos of him. He's at the piano. He's talking to George Martin. He's working things out. He's always in the. He's most interested and most dedicated to his craft. It seems he's the one. The other guys, all right, let's make a record. Let's go.
Yeah, and he's pushing. He's pushing for the live show as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I give him the respect for that, and I think he was doing that all along. It's one of the things I admire most about Paul. There is a video I'm going to do someday where I'm going to say, things I admire most about Paul McCartney. If anybody does a video like that, don't think that I stole it. Because
Right.
sometimes you have ideas and they're back here. Like, for
Right.
example, I've been wanting to make T-shirts and things for 12 years, and I just haven't done it
Right.
yet. And if one day I make them, and it's like, oh, you're taking our idea about T-shirts, It's
Yeah, but I mean, you that's just so major. I mean,
right.
everybody,
Everybody's
everybody.
doing
Yeah, I've watched. I know so many different YouTube channels and podcasts that they do their own shirt. That's not that's business. That's not stealing
Well,
somebody's show idea.
that's a bad example. That's a bad example.
Yeah. Yeah. Stunning that Goodnight Tonight was done in February '78, released March '79. Well, yeah. This thing, the funny thing about the first thing that when Paul and George Martin got back together, the first thing they worked on was "We All Stand Together," and that was like the last thing they ended up releasing as a producer and a musician team. So that doesn't surprise me at all, and they talk about that in the Legacy book. Yeah. So, let's see here. Wink says one of George's best comment was, "I hope when I'm gone, someone finishes my crap demo."
Yeah. And don't forget too, back to that one that Russ said before that. What really blows me away when I really think of it is "Wonderful Christmas Time."
Yeah.
When that was worked on, originally.
Right. In the summer, I mean, but I have heard that a lot of Christmas songs are written and recorded during the summertime.
Yeah, I'd have a hard time doing that, but I guess you gotta.
Yeah. Yes.
You want it out in time for Christmas.
This is funny. Peter says, I heard it was about the cold weather in Istanbul and Istanbul's in Turkey. I like that. Let's see here. Mike says, I heard James Taylor introduced that to heroin to John and Yoko. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, but who knows? I heard yeah, okay, good. Spring Hill. Excellent.
I don't know about that one.
So, yeah. Jim, I just keep you around because I know you're a Morrissey fan. Okay, so I'm gonna, leave you alone for that. Which I know Morrissey's got a big European tour coming up soon, so kind of jealous because I'd like to see me some Morrissey live. Are you a Morrissey fan by chance, Tone? Smith or Morrissey?
Anna Smith, Anna Smith fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. His last few albums. I tell you what, the last album that I really liked was "I Am the Quarry," and
yes.
Since then I haven't been so keen on. But his early career solo, and obviously the Smith's albums I've got.
Yeah.
Them, I think, and
yeah. You Are the Quarry is a good album.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Well, maybe I'll just keep it going for another. I'll just go like an even 3 hours, and then we'll sign off. So 19 more minutes here, folks. So if you got any other comments, get them in now, or forever hold your peace.
This is like stuck inside these four walls or something. A little
almost.
Bit.
Almost.
A little bit.
I know. Yeah.
Where's that boy?
Yeah, I know he's working. I'm sure he'd love to pop on right now. I know he's got. He's working on after-school activities right now, so.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, what else can we talk about?
It's all here.
Russ says.
Hang on, Tone. Watching Liverpool. What's the score? Stuck inside a triangle.
Oh, there you go. Because it's it's.
I'm with you.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. I'm following you there, Russ. Good on you. Good on you. So what are you missing in your collection, vinyl wise, Tone, that you'd like to pick up?
Nothing.
Nothing? Really?
No. I was saying the other day, there's a few things that I've got in my collection that are just my absolute favorite things, and they are the Big Bum box, the Beatles in mono box, and the Paul McCartney singles crate. And for me, if I've got all those three, you can go and bury rushes in the bottom of the garden. I just like those are the things that I just absolutely love. But I don't have to own everything, and especially don't have to own everything on vinyl, especially if it's not analog, because a lot of the more recent vinyl. I mean, I buy Beatles and solo Beatles vinyl,
right.
but I don't need to have things like Standing Stone on vinyl, or the Oratorio, or stuff like that. CD's fine.
What? What do you mean? You don't want Standing Stone on cassette? Huh?
Well, Mrs. Beatleytones just bought it on CD.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh. Very good.
With me, I mean,
I'm just trying to think. I mean, the things that I want are that I want these bloody stereo remixes done on the main albums. That's what I want done, and and obviously the archive stuff and a new album from Paul. But I'm not really. I don't think there's. I've got Twin Freaks. I've got Let It Be Naked on vinyl. I'm just, I've got Off the Ground on vinyl.
But you're not a vinyl completist, you're saying?
No, not necessarily. No,
I am kind of a vinyl.
I never, when the CD era came along, I never sold any of my vinyl. Never sold a thing. And
good for you.
Apart from some real crap, but all my Beatles stuff. I kept most of my vinyl. I sold a few things that I was never going to play in a million years ever again. But most of my vinyl I kept, and then just started buying CDs. And it was only really in lockdown that I came back to vinyl, and it's a complete fluke that I bought the Beatles in mono in 2014 when it came out. I must have had a premonition or something. Get this,
right?
You will forever regret it. And I got it, and I got it, and I bought it from Amazon, and it was about 340 quid I paid for it. And you can't get one for love nor money now.
It's an investment, is what it is. It's
and I was not buying vinyl at that particular time, so it was a complete fluke that I went to that particular time.
So while we were in Nashville, Andy had his eye on the Beatles mono box, vinyl set, and it was in the $700 range. Okay,
yeah.
So come Monday, with 10 minutes left, it's still at that 710. But there's like 200 people watching the auction. Okay, so Andy has his set price ready, and with 3 seconds to go, 10 seconds to go, he enters that price. But from within 10 seconds, 10 seconds, the price went from $710 to over $1,100.
Wow!
In 10 seconds. Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez, because that would have been a hell of a price for that if you could get it for $7 these days. Because I'm going to say a few things about collecting. First of all, one of my big regrets, talk about seller's remorse, is the mono box set. I got that when it was new in 2014. I think I paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $400 for it, $300, top, high 300s or 400. And then I sold it. Of course, at that time, it wasn't commanding the price that it is now. I just wish I had it, not to sell it. I just wish I had kept it.
Right.
That's the first thing. When it comes to vinyl, like I'm somebody that does like to have whatever is legitimately released by any of the four of them. I want, if it was out on vinyl, I like to have a copy of all of them. Some of the ones I need are some of the classicals. I think. I mean, I have the Oratorio. I have what's the one with the bluish cover? I can't think what it's called now. It's one of the classical ones. Help me.
Standing Stone.
Yeah.
No, I need Standing Stone. I have Working Classical. Come on, you know what it is, Tom, but you're not paying attention. What is it? It's the blue cover.
It's Ocean's Kingdom.
Oh
Ocean's
yeah,
Kingdom. I have that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a few other observations before I forget. I actually jotted them down because I won't remember everything. What you were saying, Tone, about like whether it's sometimes analog or not when it's on vinyl, like I bet you anything. Friday Music is notorious for taking things off CDs or
yeah.
digital, and that Ringo soundstage thing. There's no, I mean, that's going to be right off the CD.
It's gonna be digital.
Sure it will. I'm
Yeah.
sure it will be.
I'm
Yeah.
willing to
Yeah.
bet you that. The
Yeah.
final thing I want to bring up before we go on is I was thinking when you were talking about this stereo, you want the stereo releases to come out, as
Yeah.
do I, the early albums. Today I was at the record store and a guy in there, I guess he got money, bought a $500 copy of Introducing the Beatles in stereo, which is like one of the few copies. There's not many copies of that. And we played it. And he got an old album from the early 60s. You know, it's not remastered, remixed, or anything like that. It sounded fantastic, you know, even with a little bit of echo and whatever we want to call it. And I'm like, I'm getting more and more like that. I'm like, to put that record on and know you're listening to something from, whether it was, when did that come out? I should know, early 64 or 4 Beat the Beatles, whatever it was. And it still sounds good and you're enjoying it as much as I want what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The Beatles remasters and everything and remixes. I'm like, this sounds damn good. You know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you know, the problem with the stereos obviously is the panning thing.
Separation.
Yeah. When that's you know, we shouldn't really be listening to records in mono anymore. And you know, to get the you know, that proper stereo soundstage for those early albums is going to be fantastic. It's crucial, and that's you know, the one thing that I would really love them to finish.
Tone, you got a question here. Have you read Lewison's Tune-In book?
I've read some of it. I haven't got the patience for it. I don't really need to know that level of detail.
Oh, yes, you do.
I don't need to know. I don't need to know what color socks John Lennon had on.
No. That's not it. But you do need to find out how they really got signed. It wasn't the way George Martin.
Right.
No, yeah, I know. I went to one of Lewison's shows that he did in London. Evolver 62, I think it was 63. I can't remember. Right. And we saw the story that they were already signed before Decca turned them down.
Yeah, there was no him sitting there and going play. There was none of that.
He uncovered a telegram that Epstein sent to Dick Rowe, I think it was.
Right.
But I haven't got the patience for it. I might return to it if it's on an audio book, but I don't have enough time to read.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I would prioritize other books. Music books.
Yeah.
There's so
I
many
had it done 2 months. I mean, I got it and I read it within 2 months. I mean, this was back when it first came out, you know, so.
I read it through when it first came out. I mean, I thought it was amazing, and it kills me that he didn't have a second volume yet. I mean, you know, this is 2013, I think the first book was.
Yeah,
something like
2012, I think. 12 or 13, yeah. But Mazzy says, how you doing, Mazzy? Glad you're here. He says someone prepaid very high on the audit. Yeah. So that's the thing too with the eBay auctions. Somebody like for this item could have like bid, you know, let's say $1,500 or $2,000, and he is the leader at the moment. So, you know, every time someone's going to ring in, you know, like 100, you know, like 700, 800, you know, that guy, you know, no matter where it ends, say like if he did bid $2,000, if it ends at like $1,500, that's what he's going to pay. He's not going to pay the 2,000. So everybody's playing catch up to him.
For a premium item like that, you've just got to decide What is the maximum that
Right.
you want to pay, and put that in
Right.
as your bid, and then let it get on with it.
And let it go, because there'll be more out
If you're
there.
not prepared to pay any more than your maximum bid, then you can't do any more than
Right.
that. And you just got
Right.
to put in the biggest bid that you're willing to pay, and cross your fingers.
Yeah.
Yes, and be there too. I mean, you know, for all the auctions that I've been a part of on eBay, I've always been there at with the last minute. I'm always paying attention, and if I feel like that I really want this, I'll always just maybe like put like another buck, you know, a couple more bucks on there or whatever. But I always try to be there for the last minute.
And well, also, Andy's learning a lot of things. If I can just say quickly, you know, from like you told him about how to bid or whatever he was saying, how to get something, and also he said something which I like that he acknowledges now. He says, you know, if you want something, you got to go out and get it. He says, you know, if like we saw Paul, he got the tickets for the Bowery. He went out there, he put the time in and the effort, and like you said, you know, you got to do it. You got to make it happen.
Yeah, that's right.
And the other thing about eBay is when you put your highest bid, always put a few extra cents on. I always put
cents,
on 87p.
Yes.
You put it on 87 cents because most people bid in round numbers.
Right, right, good.
Right. Yeah.
Just in case.
Yes.
Belt and braces.
Yeah, 2015, you know, 15 cents. Yeah. You got a question here, Tone. Have you listened to the Ringo's new album, and what did you think?
I thought it was good. Don't give a shit what Invisible Ray thinks about it. But yeah.
Well, you already know what he's going to think about it before he even. You want to know what he thinks of the Paul album before it comes out? You know.
He hasn't listened to it anyway, so it doesn't really matter what he says. But yeah, I thought it was a good album for Ringo. And you know, we've talked about it, Joe, haven't we? We've done a
Oh yeah, I talked to death about it. I love
we've all talked about Look Up.
Yeah.
Was Paul's Russian LP ever U.S. released? Yes, when they did the color vinyl. You got that one, right, Joe? You got the yellow vinyl for the Russian LP.
Yeah, his worst album. I got it in the yellow vinyl.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Something's got to be the last.
I'm sure if you go into one of our friend John Blaney's books, Paul McCartney, the songs he was singing, you can go in there and you can find the exact release date and all the different versions that were sold in the UK and US, because he only goes by UK and US in these books. And these are must-haves for collectors, for McCartney collectors. These are must-haves. And Norman comes out and says, "Worse than Pipes of Peace."
Of course, it was worse than Pipes.
Really,
for one thing, you know, you're talking about like original songs for one thing on Pipes of Peace. Now, by the way, I'm somebody who thinks Pipes of Peace is one of Paul's least out of his own music albums. But I mean, I love So Bad. I like Say Say Say. I mean, I like Pipes of Peace, the title track, Through Our Love.
Yeah.
Average Person, Keep Undercover. I like songs off that. And yeah, it's not just him singing rock songs, which I don't think he does them very well, which is a surprise on the Russian album. I like the way he sings on Run Devil Run. I like the Run Devil Run album.
I think it's the production. I think it's the production on the Russian album that's lacking, not necessarily the songs.
I actually prefer the songs on the Russian album to the ones on Run Devil Run. I'm not a big fan of rock and roll covers anyway, but I think I prefer the song choices on the Russian album to Run Devil Run. Apart from what's track 3, the Elvis one is brilliant. What's it called?
Not Party, that's later.
No,
I think I know what I can't think of it.
Yeah, you're talking about on Russians, or I mean, All Shook Up. Okay,
All Shook Up is a little belter.
It is, but I like Elvis is better, but that's okay. but he really knocks it out of the park, Paul, on that one. And I like the front. What is it, Honey Hush? I love that. I mean, that's better than anything on the Russian, in my opinion. Is it Honey Hush? Was it Blue? What's the
on
first one?
Run
Stop all
Double
that
Run.
yakety yak. That song.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I mean those two albums are like some of that and like Kisses on the Bottom. I probably listen to those the least of all, McCartney's records.
Kisses on the Bottom. I put a little over that. That's one of my least too, but that's
Yeah.
cheating. Shit's kind of cheating.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the production on the Russian. I keep saying the Russian album. But
On
yeah.
Run
All
Devil
right,
Run to
guys.
me, he sounds like he's
What
in Hamburg or something in Run Devil Run to me.
right, right. All right, guys, we're gonna wind it down here. Coming up on 3 hours. Thank you everybody for popping up here and listening to Mike Nair's wonderful story about the behind the scenes look at the SNL 50. Amazing stories. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a fly on the wall for that? To see Paul, doing that. So congratulations on that, Mike. He's also doing SNL this weekend too. So he's going to get a lot of SNL lately. Anybody else? Any last words there, Tone, before we sign off?
No, just thanks for having me on. Had an absolute
Yeah.
blast with you guys
Yeah.
up here today. So it's been great. Thanks for plugging my channel like you always do, and that's great.
Oh yeah. Yes, absolutely. And Joe?
Had a great time. Always a pleasure with you guys. I like to do this more often. And sometimes we can do it on my Fab Gab show if you want. I have a Fab Gab show on the
That's
Mr.
right.
Mayo channel below there. You can see it.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, check out all our shows. Check out all of our other shows too. Check out Joe's. He's got what's the movie channel called this week, Joe?
I forget this week. It's geez, Mr. Cinemayo Nostalgia.
Yes.
Mr.
Check out
Cinemayo.
that. Check out Talk More Talk. Check out things we said today. Check out Toppermost of the Poppermost, or is it Poppermost of the Toppermost? Check out everybody's shows. Beely Tone and yeah, we're all doing good shows, and I'm glad to be here, and glad all of you guys popped up for a fun
glad to be
3-hour
anywhere.
chat. Yeah.
That was great. That was great. Impromptu, spontaneous coming up.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It was
so.
great. Really,
all right,
really,
everybody.
Really enjoyed it, boys, and everyone in the gallery. Really
Okay.
great.
So again, we're gonna sign off. Take care, everyone. See ya.